At the most, I have a couple random spam bops. Spam bops. Anyway, spam bots. Spam bots. Wow. Blech. Say stuff in the YouTube, but for the most part, no. All right. At the most, I have a couple. God, I look terrible. My skin is so bad right now. If only I could be rich and famous and just, you know, have access to amazing stuff. I don't have any makeup on or anything. I never put on makeup. Last night was interesting. I'll wait till we get some people's actually in the room before I go on about all that. I'm gonna pop out chat. Like I said, I don't really expect anyone to actually talk in it. Let's pull this chat over here. And everybody, everyone, do. Whoops. Or sorry. I did bring alcohol upstairs with me, by the way, just for fun. I did bring. Oh man, my internet is not like having this many things going on. Now live. All right. Send out. Ah, my ear tickles. Okay, almost done. Sendable. Compose. Profile. I'm gonna send it to all of the profiles. Somebody once told me the world is kinda lonely. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with a finger and her thumb in the shape of an L of her forehead. I still have issues with freaking Sendable making duplicates. I just noticed a place where the wood veneer is totally messed up right there. Anyway, it makes duplicates of every time I upload a picture to post. My ear tickles for some reason. Okay. Send now. And then move the... Hey, I see people talking. Move that over in a second. I need 5 monitors. I need to have one more monitor than Gutzerker has. Who needs a big penis when you have multiple computer monitors that my laptop could totally handle? All right. Oh yeah, gotta load up the Twitters and then retweet my own tweet to my other account. And then we're done. Hey, okay, it didn't post. Therefore, did you not post? I told you to post. Why did you? It might have scheduled it. Sometimes it schedules it for like a minute ahead for some reason. Okay. Where is that post I made? Oh, where can it be? Why is it not posting? Oh, I accidentally included everyone in the tag, so it thinks that it's a reply in Twitter. That's why. Okay. Let me maximize the chat boxes of the things. Personal bet at pistol. Air pistol match. Did not see that. Well, this will be a quiet stream if you want to hang out. I totally misspelled stuff. And then let's open up the 2 chats, and then I can have them both open. All right. I'm going to make the YouTube one tiny because, again, no one ever posts there. Sorry I'm late. I had to rearrange stuff to get it all to show up. Oh, I forgot I was going to put a wig on today. Oh, well. You know, I bought a couple wigs, and then I was like, I'm gonna wear them in videos, and then I never did, but whatever. Alright, so I have 2 cameras set up, so that I can, have one camera looking down and one here. Hopefully the mic sounds decent. I know you guys were telling me it's very directional, which is good and bad. Back behind me is still a little bit messed up. I was actually working on Link's costume for Halloween that I never finished, and I couldn't find the zipper that I bought for anywhere, so I had to go to the art store to get a new one. And while I was there, where the heck did I put it? I also found these things that I, of course, snapped up. So a long time ago when I was a kid, I used to do these like melted bead things. I generally wouldn't follow. Chair sucks. I generally wouldn't follow the guides. I would just have like the square and I would make up my own thing or whatever. But they're these little beads, and you do the design or whatever, and then you melt them. And I never really had very good luck getting them to melt correctly. But again, I was a kid. So anyway, yeah, they had these 2 Zelda ones. So of course I grabbed them. This one's a little boring because, you know, they're based on the really early sprites. So there's not a lot of colors, but, you know, I'll still do it. But this one I'm excited for. This one looks really cool. I don't even know if it has... Oh, shit. Damn it, I didn't realize this one needs a pegboard. Is there a pegboard in here? Okay, it does have a pegboard in here. Phew. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I should have gotten a pegboard. I also got 2 other ones that Link picked out for him to do. One is like a mermaid thing, and then the other one... I can't remember. He got another one. I don't remember what it was. Okay, here we go. Here's a pegboard. They have little things so you can actually make bigger and bigger ones, so, you know, you could make really big ones. You don't want to make too big of a one unless you're going to, like, frame it and put it up on the wall, because it will fall apart. When it turned around, but again, that's a good thing, because then it means you're not picking up as much outside noise or the kids downstairs, so I just have to remember. Eventually, I got one that goes to a recording device, a lavalier mic, but I haven't even tried to use it yet. I got it for if I ever make videos with Link again, which, you know. Okay, so let me hatch up in the chat really quick. So, yay, you're on. You can entertain me now with arts and crafts and games and conversation. You're allowed to burp. It's a natural thing. Ha, I just got the notification that you were live. Hey, sleepyhead, how's it going? It's not the size, it's what you do with them. My projector soonish counts as a 5th monitor. Well, then I just have to get 6 monitors. Big penis or multiple monitors. I don't have either of those things. Well, I guess you're shit out of luck. Speakers on full. Sorry. I don't know. It's like, as far as I can tell, it's maxed out. I don't know what else I can change. I'll make sure real quick, but yeah, as far as I know, there's no other. Let me open up Sure again. There's no other options I can max out. I don't know why sound issues are always such a pain in the ass, because we got the downstairs headphones that we bought when we bought Matthew's computer. Yeah, mic gain is already maxed out. Yeah. Compression is off. So that's maxed out. It's designed to be an inch. Well, that's the thing, is like, it's supposed to be either an inch or 2 from the mouth, or like, it's this far right now. It's like, I don't know where my camera's. It's like this far away, because if I had it too close, it'd be like, I couldn't, you know. Yeah, I mean, if you can figure out the microphone, that'd be good. I don't know why I'm looking over there at the chat when it's right here. I'm used to having this be my main monitor and this being where I watch the chat. But I just switched out. Oh, cool. We got a random comment on YouTube. Cogfanty VOM Red. Vampire the Masquerade Red. I don't know what that means. So yeah, couple, not really announcements, but just, things that have happened recently. Matthew, do I own Divinity on Steam or GOG? I own it on Xbox. I don't have it on computer. I'm really not, I mean, I'll put it on the back burner. I'm not really like, oh my god, I want to play it right now. I've really been trying to prefer kind of more action-y games for live streams, just because 4 hours is a lot, and I get really tired trying to be like more entertaining. I don't know, maybe. I haven't played a game yet, since we talked, so, anyway, so, yeah, so yesterday, well, first of all, yesterday, Link got off the bus, and the bus driver beeped at me, and so I went up, and she was kind of frazzled, and she was like, I don't know what to do. Link was bullying another boy and made him cry. And I was like, what the fuck? And she was like, yeah, he was sticking his little fidget thing, which I had got for him to get him to behave on the bus, sticking it in his face and, like, made him cry. And I'm just like, what? So I'm going to drive him to school and back for I don't know how long. And, you know, he came in, and I had a very serious conversation with him. I did not yell. I wanted to. But I sat with him, and of course he was kind of distracted. I mean, he's 5. But I actually started crying a little bit, and I was just like, Link, I was horribly bullied growing up, and I was just miserable and sad. Basically my entire childhood. I'm like feeling emotional again just talking about it. And it has always been my worst fear that I will raise a bully. And I don't think he was doing it. I really don't think he was doing it trying to hurt anyone. I think he's just a very, like, intense, kind of aggressive, not like aggressive angry, but just like over the top personality, which his dad has too, which I have, you know, in some ways too also. So product of how he was raised, I guess. But anyway, I was trying to talk to him, and I've had conversations like with him about this a lot already, but again, I reiterated and was saying, even if you aren't trying to be mean, you aren't trying to like make someone upset, different people react to different stimuli in different ways. And, you know, I asked, what have you been doing? And he was like, oh, I was copying what he was saying. And I said, oh, and you were sticking your thing in his face. No, I wasn't. Again, I've told him over and over, you know, boy who cried wolf, because you lie about the dumbest things for no reason, I can't believe anything you say, so I'm going to believe what the bus driver said. But anyway, and I just, you know, I said, like, think about the consequences of what you're doing. Because he says, I'm like, why did you do that? And he says, I don't do anything with jump scares. But yeah, I said, you know, think about the consequences of what you're going to do. So you annoying him and like making him cry, it might be kind of fun to like be annoying. But like, are you really gonna be happy if he's crying? No, he started crying too a little bit because I was crying, and I don't know. But anyway, just, you know, think about your consequence or whatever. But it's kind of distressing because he'll tell me, like, you know, I want to do good things, but I have these bad things and my brain gets scrambled and I do bad things. And I'm just like, his teacher has a saying, make good decisions. And so I'm trying to also drill into that. And it's like, make good decisions. Like, if you know something is a bad decision, try to distract yourself. I told him, you know, try closing your eyes and like imagining a story or something like that. It's very distressing that he's using the fidget cube to bully and to annoy other kids because, again, I got it to keep him distracted on the bus. I think if I ever do let him ride on the bus again, which I'm hoping to try again in maybe a week or something, I'll just give him a drawing pad because he likes those and it's kind of harder to annoy. I don't know. I'm just really anxious because I can't control him once he walks out the door. But anyway, so yeah, no electronics for at least the weekend, and I'm gonna have to drive him to and from school. And when I had a parent-teacher meeting with his teacher, like all parents were having theirs, she said he was really sweet, and he would like say I love you like 4 times a day, and he would share with the other kids in the class and stuff. So it's like only on the bus is he bad. I don't know why. And you know, the bus driver, there's no other adults on the bus, so if the kids are being jackasses, she can't like go back there and talk to them, so she's all stressed out. And anyway, let me look a little bit at the chat, my chatty friends. Buy more monitors. Got the muns. My thing is, where would I put the monitors? Like, I only have so much desk space. I did get the other chair in the mail that I'm going to put in this alcove. I haven't set it up yet because I still need to move the stuff in my dad's room around so I could put this big chair out there. I'd like to put it outside eventually. I really don't like this chair. It's big and it's in the way. But yeah, for now it's fine. You'll buy it for me on Steam. It'll go on sale, I'm sure. Trying to think of the jump scares. Good evening, good people. Hello, Rich. I kept having you come up lately this week for some reason. Fun to be annoying. So anyway, so other stuff that's happened recently. Kenny, who I don't know if he's here right now. I don't think he's chatted yet. He showed me some screenshots of him talking in the Trisha Hirschberger Discord, and this other nudist follower of mine that I actually ended up, I can't remember if I blocked him or if we just stopped following each other, but he's one of those, you know, middle-aged cis, I think he's actually middle-aged, I think he's my age, but, you know, cis white male nudist who I don't have anything in common with. He just followed me because, oh my god, nudism. And he really, really likes the Myst series, which, I mean, I played as a kid and I think it's cool, but I'm not, like, obsessed with it. But I definitely didn't like him when I watched the Pharaoh versus Allen or Allen versus Pharaoh HBO thing or whatever, and I was commenting on, like, what a creep Woody Allen is, and, you know, believe women, blah, blah, blah. And he, like, came out to bat for Woody Allen and was like, it's all bullshit, he didn't do anything. And it's just like, pretty sure the evidence, I mean, not just from the HBO special, but just in general, the evidence seems pretty strong that there were definitely things going on with Woody Allen. I mean, the girl herself, I can't remember her name, you know, she's an adult now. She's actually trying to be a romance author and everything like that. She's the exact same age as me. You know, she came out and saying, like, he did all this stuff when I was a kid, and I'm more inclined to believe her than I am him. But anyway, so he was, like, basically using Kenny's profile picture to get him in trouble in this chat room that he had been fine at for a long time. Anyway, so the chat room was Trish Hirschberger's Discord, and he had told me about it before and I forgot. So I finally joined it, and it's hard for me when I join Discord channels, like other channels than my own, because every Discord channel has their own rules, and, you know, I get spoiled with my room, because I can just say basically whatever I want, and if people don't like it, they can just leave the room. And, you know, it's also hard to keep up with all these rooms, and a lot of times I'll end up having, like, the same conversations in all the different rooms with different people, and that gets tiring. But anyway, so I started hanging out there. They have a self-promo room, and I asked in there, and I knew what the answer was going to be. But just in case, I asked in there, I was like, hey, would it be okay for me to link to censored versions of my videos, you know, with the expression of what they are or whatever? And they gave me this thoughtful answer after a little while that was like, basically, well, we support what you do. We would have to flag the whole channel, you know, the whole Discord server room, not safe for work, and we don't want to do that because we have under 18 people here, and blah, blah, blah. So don't. And I was just like, I understand. And of course, that's one of the infuriating things, is that it doesn't matter what you yourself support, as long as you're using Twitch or YouTube or Discord or, you know, any of these places. If they don't allow porn, they're not going to allow female nipples. They're not even going to allow censored female nipples unless it's posted by a famous person. Then somehow it doesn't matter anymore. So yeah, it was disappointing. But anyway, so I stuck around in the chat room a little bit, talked to people a little bit. And then Trisha has been streaming like 3 times a week, and I had been doing other stuff, but I decided that it would be worth it to hang out in her streams, kind of maybe ingratiate myself to the community. Not like totally self-serving, like I want to actually be, you know, a good part of it and get along with people genuinely. But if you've never heard of Trisha Hirschberger, her Naked Truth series is what inspired the beginning of Tapas Topics. To recap real quick for anyone who hasn't heard the story, I had already been making content for YouTube for a long time, and I had a gaming channel that I still have, but I haven't really specifically made new content for. I mean, I'm streaming on it right now, but like I never get views or comments on it, so I don't think anyone actually watches those videos. And then she started this Naked Truth series where ostensibly the reason she was doing them topless or naked except from shoulders up was as an acting exercise to, you know, free your not inhibitions, but basically like be your true self or whatever. Which, you know, obviously it's clickbait, but I also, as a nudist and as a topless equality supporter and everything like that, I can get behind that. And so she did these videos, and then I did reply videos to a couple of them, and I really liked, I actually got a surprisingly thoughtful response, and also lots of views, but, and I was like, huh, this is kind of cool, and so I decided to start Topless Topics, and for the first while, you know, I did this, and I got all these accusations that I was furthering the stigma of female nipples by doing that, and so I started just not censoring at all, which was really stupid, and then I started getting them taken down after like a year. I managed to go like a year before they started getting taken down, and then even, you know, it's gotten worse and worse. Even fully clothed videos get taken down for violating nudity guidelines, and then I submitted appeal, and the appeal is either automatically rejected or it's stuck in submitted limbo, like the one that I submitted 3 months ago now. That was a fully dressed clip from a video, from a vlog, where I was talking about like how YouTube is basically pandering to Hollywood. Surprise, surprise, that video got banned. And I submitted an appeal, and they just never responded to the appeal. So anyway, or the other, you know, or the vlog on my vlog only channel, which has never posted even censored female nipples. One of those videos got banned as violating their nudity guidelines. That's literally just me like talking about my snake not eating, who by the way is still not eating. Take him to the vet tomorrow. Maybe we can I said tomorrow twice. Maybe we can get him like force fed a little bit or something, because he's got to be hungry. Anyway, so I went to the one stream that she did that was like so I went to one stream where she was playing God of War, and then I went to another stream yesterday where she was talking about gaming news, and then she has another one this tomorrow morning that's supposed to be like a casual hangout, and I'm gonna go to that one too. And by go to, I mean like load it up on my computer. Of course, the kids will be noisy around me, but it's just, you know, she talks and other people chat. And it's interesting because she has like about 270 viewers at a time, at least on yesterday's gaming one was on YouTube, and then the talking about gaming was on YouTube, and then the playing the game one was on Twitch. I'm not really sure why she switches between them, but and then I'm assuming the tomorrow's will be on YouTube. I don't know, but she knows who I am because it's like I've popped into live streams in the past as Topless Topics. I was like, I don't remember you. She's like, yeah, I know you, and like I talked to her a bunch. Not a bunch. I've talked to her off and on at previous conventions or whatever. She was talking a little bit in the live stream yesterday about E3 going back to online only because Omicron and everything. And, you know, she was saying, and other people in the chat were saying, like, how it's really hard on people who go there to network, which is my main purpose for going to VidCon. Because there's just not the camaraderie of, like, hanging out and talking casually. It's, you know, but anyway. I'm still not there. I'm nude under the clothes. Yeah, that's what I keep pointing out. Like, what does it matter if I'm blocking my nipples with a guitar or a shirt? My nipples do not cease to exist under the shirt. It's so fucking stupid. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. I have a dentist appointment coming up on Tuesday, finally, now that we finally got medical insurance again. Theoretically, I haven't actually used it yet, but I'm a little nervous because I'm probably going to have to get some cavity fillings and stuff because I am prone to cavities for some reason. Oh, and also last night, Gutsucker came down and visited us for the day. He came earlier and he looked at Matthew's computer, which has been like overheating instantly, and swapped out the cooler system or whatever, and hopefully that works better. And he looked at my laptop, which hasn't been turning off, but for some reason my laptop also gets really hot. Found out that the reason my fan was instantly going crazy is that there's a turbo fan button that was pressed that I didn't even know about. I have it off right now because all I'm doing is chatting. Hopefully it's okay. If I do start playing a game, I'll probably turn it on. So again, hopefully the direction mic helps with all that. Let me see. Over time I'm looking to build a space. Oh, but the thing I was going to say about Trish's room or whatever is like she had over like 270 people watching at a time. But the chat room really wasn't crazy, and it was fairly thoughtful comments or whatever. There was one guy pissing me off because he was spreading a little bit of vaccine disinformation, where he was like, basically Trisha said that her son, who I think is Aiden's age, is staying home from preschool because someone in his room tested positive, and so they're waiting on his results and everything like that. And this idiot was like, don't worry, he'll be fine. Kids don't die of COVID. And I was like, actually 800 plus have in the US alone. And then I just like dropped it because it was like, again, talking to other people's discords or whatever, like Trisha's discord specifically says like no politics. Obviously, you know, I couldn't link to my content, even the censored version or whatever. And that whole no politics thing always drives me crazy because everything is politics. If you think something's not political, it means that you're benefiting from the status quo. And then if you change it at all, like even, having a game have a person of color in it or something, all of a sudden it's political. And it's like, everything is politics. What you can say is, maybe like American candidates or something. Like, don't talk about governmental candidates and specific governmental figures or something like that. But I don't know, or gun control or whatever. You know, have a list of like specific issues that are discouraged or whatever. But anyway, I just didn't want to get banned for being political by telling him that he was a fucking liar. So yeah, a little frustrating. But like I said, I can just come here and do my own stream and talk to you guys on my own Discord, and I can say whatever the fuck I want. I can't post, you know, pictures and stuff to the Discord, and it's on my to-do list to set up an actual thing of people that join have to like react to a list of rules and stuff like that, make it really more not really challenging, but more challenging for just random people to show up, because it's very weird. We have a lot of people that show up and then just never talk, and it's just like, why are you here? Our theory is that they brainlessly click on the link to the chat room expecting to find porn here, even though I've never put porn out and never will. And then when they don't see any, they just stop talking, but they don't leave. They stay and then they just hover. I don't know what the fuck. Maybe they're bots. All right. If you're willing to play the platform for promote, yep. Of course. They were shocked the snake was naked. Have you spoken to Let Go Receive the Yoga person? I'm not sure who you're talking about. If that was something you recommended for me to talk to, I will try to make it happen. I was slowly, I don't know why my camera is like really bright all of a sudden. I have a couple of conversations going on already in chat, not in chat, in email with prospective interviewees, including one who I'm a little nervous about. Her name is Clarkeisha Kent, and she calls herself a cultural critic, which one of the things I want to ask her about is like, how do you define that? Why do you identify as that? Blah, blah, blah. And she does like articles for, you know, major publications or whatever. She's a black woman. Her profile on Twitter is something like, black by, what is it? Let me look it up. And I was reading some of her articles yesterday. So her Twitter name is @IWriteAllDay_. So here's her bio: Nigerian, bi, black, fat in all caps, and then some other info. Her location is listed as abolish to the police. So I wanted to, you know, interview her and like ask about, I wrote a whole list of topics, and then I was going to ask her like, which of these would you rather cover? And then I can break it down into more questions or whatever. But when I contacted her, I, you know, explained the purpose of my content and asked like how much it would be to hire her for an interview, because she's famous, and you know, famous people have to be discerning about who they give their time to, because everybody wants a piece of famous people. And I will get, I promise, I'll start on the Zelda thing in a minute. And so she replied and was like, sure, I'd be honored to be on your with your content, which I thought was kind of a nice thing to say. How much, you know, I mean, she said it nicely, and I was just like, 200? Like, I have no idea what figure to put out there. I think I did a very brief search of like how much influencers charge, and I found something that said people from like 50 to 100,000 Twitter followers or whatever followers for a YouTube video is like $1,000 to $2,000. But that doesn't say the length of the YouTube video, and also like if that's a promotional thing for something else. Like, I don't know if that is equable to an interview. And also, you know, theoretically, hopefully the reason, or one of the reasons she'd say yes to it, is because she supports what I'm trying to talk about. So anyway. So we'll see how she replies to that. I said if that's like nowhere near enough, please let me know what's a good amount, and I'll try to crowdfund it. And so, you know, I'll let you guys decide. If she does give a figure, I'll try to put together like a GoFundMe or something. I've never actually done a GoFundMe before, so. But you know, we got all these Trumpers dying of all these anti-vaxxers dying of COVID, and then their family puts together a GoFundMe for the hospital bills, because of course. So it must be possible. Laptop wasn't overheating, loud fans were just buttons, still proceeded to take apart and put a better thermal. Oh, I didn't know you did that. I thought you just, well, I thought the thermal stuff was the desktop, but I don't know. I feel bad because Guzzerker came over. Oh, I never even finished that story. So Guzzerker came over, looked at our computers, did some stuff to make them not as hot. And the whole time the kids were awake, because what am I going to do with them? And they were just like being so annoying. And I'm just like, guys, leave them alone. And then after they were finally in bed, we went to Vault 31. We wore KN95s all night, or, you know, Matthew and I are triple vaxxed, got his third, you know, his booster. And we went there, and we're friends with the people that work there. I mean, we have yet to hang out outside of the bar, but I think it's just a scheduling thing. I think they would if we could make schedules align. And Kate, the redhead bartender that is probably my favorite, was like, "What can I do for you, honey?" And I told her, "Well, I'm depressed, so I would like something, you know, creative." And she's like, "Something like a warm hug." I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be nice." And so she made me something that was like, you know, kind of looked like hot chocolate with whipped cream on it or whatever. And as I was taking it, there was this girl sitting next to me, or not to me, but next, you know, on the bar next to where I was ordering. And she's like, "Oh, that looks good. What is it?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's just something she made up." She said it was like a warm hug that I asked for because I was depressed. And she's like, "Why are you depressed?" And I told her, you know, I just found out my son is apparently bullying kids, and I'm really sad about it. And she was like, "It's okay, you know, you're doing your best, and like he's gonna learn better, and you seem like a really blah blah blah." And so I was like, "Aw." And so I talked to her for like 2 seconds, and then I went back to the table where Matthew and Gut had sat down. And then we were like hanging out a little bit, and I was like, "I'm gonna go make some friends. I'll be back." And I went over to the girl and I started talking to her, and it turns out that we have a lot in common. She was there with her husband, I think boyfriend, who they moved up here from LA last year. And so we were talking a little bit about like Southern California kind of things. Found out her mom died of cancer. Also, her mom died of cancer when she was 17 years old. She's 30. She looks and acts 22. And they said they'd be here at the live stream. I don't know if they are, but she is home a lot, and she like watches a lot of internet and stuff like that. So, and she said she was interested in being, you know, being a streamer or something like that too. And I was like, "I would love to help you set that up, please. That would be so cool." Yeah, I gave him the card. I was like, I feel really awkward, but like if I talk about, you know, streaming and stuff like that a lot, it's not like I'm not doing it because I'm trying to be like, watch my stuff. It's because this is my passion. I like doing this. I care about, you know, being on camera and being By the way, I watched the first episode today of I think it's called Zach Stone Gets Famous or something, and it's a new show on Netflix where Bo Burnham plays this allegedly teenage guy who spent his savings from a part-time job hiring a camera crew to like follow him around, and he's trying to become famous. And it's a little, you know, I love satire about the whole wanting to go viral thing or whatever. Don't Look Up had some good parts in that too, which by the way I do recommend you watch, especially if you have like any interest in like internet culture, like the dark, you know, obsessed with fame side, which I am also a part of. I am not not denying that as much as I fight against it. I think it's just a natural extension of, you know, trying to be popular in high school and stuff like that. It's just now it's on the internet, whatever. It's funny because there's one character in the show that's like not very interested, and then he's like, "Oh, I have my, you know, I'm trying to become famous or whatever." And also just like, oh, it's just like such a, you know. Anyway, yeah, so I was talking to her a lot or whatever. I talked a little bit to her partner. I'll just say partner because I don't remember if he was boyfriend or whatever. We were talking about NFTs, which like normally is very boring to me, but we actually had a pretty good conversation about it. He was not pro NFT, which is good because I see these crypto bros pop up in my menchies on Twitter, and it's always like they get so mad and defensive, and I'm just like, I just don't want to hear about it. Like maybe it's the future, but I just feel like it's not stable enough, and I don't really care enough to have a conversation about it. I'm gonna wait and see how you know, cryptocurrency and NFT, like if it actually gets mass adoption and stuff. Anyway, I am not qualified to talk about that, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, we exchanged info. She kept insisting she loves kids, and I was like, well, we'll see, because my kids are really intense. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see if we hang out. I will say they're, again, I don't know if they're watching this, so I don't want to be like too critical. I got some underpinnings of a couple of things that I think we might be politically not aligned. I don't think they're not Trumpers. Like that would be a hard no or whatever, but I think there's some things that we're not quite on the same page. But you know what? I probably used to be the same way, and I just became, you know, more progressive, or tried to become more progressive as I experienced more types of, you know, people in life and whatever, and became more, at least I think, became more sympathetic to them. I don't know. Anyway, I have these things where I get along really well with people at the bar or whatever, and I exchange info, or not the bar or the park or whatever, and then like we never talk again. I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen this time, but once it's better weather, once we get the cover built in the backyard so we can start having, naked barbecue and hot tub hangouts and get the projector and watch TV and stuff like, or not TV, but movies together and stuff like that, it'll be easier. For one thing, I can like kick the kids over to the play area in the backyard and not have them quite so on top of everything. But have to wait a couple more months for that. And I led with my content. I was like, yeah, I do these videos because it was like, if she's gonna freak out, I want to know now before I get invested in wanting to be friends with her. So, all right. I'm gonna catch up a chat and then I'm gonna start on this bitch. Oh, that was something else came up. It was like bitch or whatever, like using that as a word. Is it okay to use it as reference to things? Is it okay to call other people bitches? No. Is it okay when people call themselves bitches? I think it's fine, but I mean, other people have different inclinations, and similar to what I was saying to Link, even though I have no problem with calling myself a bitch, I love the phrase, you call me bitch like it's a bad thing. If someone is really uncomfortable with me saying bitch, I'm gonna try not to say it, because if I don't want to make people uncomfortable for no reason, unless they're an anti-vaxxer or a Trumper, in that case, fuck you. All right. Blah blah blah. So let's see. Lol, and even though we did that, Alabama teachers have an in-classroom teach with positive COVID test if they're asymptomatic. Yeah, fucking southern places or whatever. January 6th. What January 6th? There was nothing. There was nothing that happened. And if anything did happen, it was totally peaceful. I used to think of the OJ thing where it's like, I didn't kill her, but if I did, this is how I would have done it. People listen to songs to support their agenda. Slightly dumber the person, the easier it is. Or listen to things, blah. Yeah, that's a thing we've been discussing in the Discord is supposed research saying that what people watch and listen doesn't radicalize them. It's just that they seek out what they already agree with. I still haven't read the article all the way, but just from that summary of the content, I don't feel that way. I think that if someone is on the fence about something, or there's room for them to change their opinion, for instance, a really lonely guy who keeps getting rejected by women, it's a lot easier to fall into incel spaces, and here it's because women are selfish bitches who only want to date chads, rather than maybe you're kind of boring. Maybe it would be beneficial to you to like work on having a hobby and finding people that also have that hobby. That's why I love video games. Like, I love talking about games, I love playing games, and by certain societal standards, I might be considered somewhat attractive, at least passable. So it's like, people like me exist. It's just, if someone's really, difficult to talk to, I don't want to date them. So, plus I'm annoyingly picky about, it's not even a matter of picky, there's very few male presenting people I've ever been attracted to. Women, it's another story. I'm attracted to like every woman I meet, but they're almost never gay, so it doesn't matter. Okay. That was one thing with the couple last night that was kind of, it didn't really make me uncomfortable. It just reminded me of how I used to be, where she kept saying like, I love gay people, my brother's gay, and it was like, she's definitely at the stage, I think, where she supports it and love is love or whatever, but I don't think she has a lot of experience with just being comfortably in, queer spaces, which, again, it takes time, it takes experience, it takes the opportunity to be around people, and obviously with COVID, that's a lot harder. I'm just addicted to progressive Twitter and progressive versus liberal Twitter, which I don't know. Anyway, flooded freeways. I know. I'm surprised you came down. I was like, please don't die, because you drove your motorcycle down here. But you made it, so I'm glad that you didn't die. I would have felt horrible if you came down just to visit us and got hurt, so I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm sorry my kids are so fucking annoying. I'm sorry that Matthew is so loud. And like I said, once it's warm enough to go have outdoor things again, it'll be nice. I do want to put mosquito netting around the patio once we have it built, because that is one of the things I don't like about going out in the evening, is mosquitoes love me. Okay. I went to I just took Link and my dad and the dogs for a walk right before I came, which is another reason why I was running a little bit late. And it's chilly today, but it is pretty nice. I mean, the sun was out and everything like that. I took a couple pictures, but like we went to this little grassy field where the dogs like to play, and there was a pond, and I took this picture of Link walking over to the pond. He rode his scooter, which he doesn't do very often. He gets so lazy though. He rode his scooter there, and then he was like, I don't want it, I can carry it. Anyway, so even though it's still chilly, the fact that we weren't like getting rained on and the ground wasn't too mushy was nice. Dogs ran around. They played pretty well. I'm glad that they're not. It's not really fighting. It's that Fenris plays with the puppy as if she's a full-grown dog, and she like does the like licking him in the mouth thing where he'll like snarl and fake bite her or whatever, and she'll like immediately throw herself on the ground, and it's playing, but it still has the potential for injury because he's so much bigger than her. So they didn't do that as much. They mostly just ran around, so that was nice. But yeah, more of that's nice. Confirmation bias, smarter the person, more likely to check. I think it helps to be so-called intelligent, which, I was talking to Link about, sorry, I hate that. Why do I do that? Talking to Link about the difference between book smarts and street smarts, and how, basically I was talking about classism, but I was trying to make it simpler for a 5-year-old. But anyway, I was talking about like the difference of that or whatever, and I'm trying not to say, it does affect how gullible you are. I mean, my mom's college educated, and yet everything, she constantly fell for Ponzi schemes and stuff because they were really good at tapping into that, you're smart and dedicated hard worker. You too can be rich by flipping houses or whatever. So she'd spend massive amount of money at these seminars and just, bleh. So I think it's dangerous to tell yourself I'm too smart to fall for schemes. I think you should be suspicious, but at the same time, learn to weigh your sources. I still find it incredible that you have all these anti-vaxxers that are like, all the scientists and everything are just doing it for money, and they don't want people to know how effective ivermectin is. Like, you don't think someone benefits off ivermectin? You don't think someone else is making money hand over fist on ivermectin, which you're buying every day and like taking every day? You're gonna make a lot more money than just getting this shot. Dumb people. All right. Ad research, which is similar, psychologically shows that smart people are overconfident in their ability to know what's fact and isn't. Perfect. GoFundMe is now America's leading healthcare provider. I know, I like when they have the headline where it's like, heartwarming story of child with cancer who can't afford, who lives in a country that doesn't support medical care for all, so she has to get her money from the strangers on the internet. Or there's literally one, I can't remember who posted, it was a Fox thing, I think, or it was like New York Post or whatever. It was like, heartwarming tale of two elderly unvaccinated people who died hand in hand in the hospital. And it was like, one, their daughter was the one that put their hands together, and two, it would be a lot more heartwarming if they didn't fucking die because they got their fucking shot. What the fuck? Anyway. Kids all glommed over. I know. Well, it's almost like dogs, where a new person comes in, the dogs are like, hi, 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 hi. And that way my kids are actually more intense than the dogs, I think. Nose for Attis. I don't. Oh, Nosferatu. I was thinking like Atlas. Oh, that's funny. It's a bar, but it's a gaming bar, where you can literally just show up and play games. And you're encouraged to buy drinks now because that's how they stay in business. But it's just really good. I just really love that place, and yeah, I really like that place. I hope they stay in business. I don't know how they make any money with all the free games or whatever. I was a little annoyed in Trisha's gaming chat or whatever. Somehow, I think it was when she was talking about the networking or whatever, and I mentioned the bar, and I said, you buy a drink and hang out and play games or whatever. And she started talking about the places in LA and everything where you pay for the machine, like it's like a pinball machine and you keep paying for it. And it was like, no, you don't have to keep paying to play. You literally can just play whatever you want for however long you want. But anyway, I just really, I wish that it's not that I wish there were more places, because I want this, I want them to succeed or whatever. I just love the model, but at the same time, I don't want too many people going there or it's going to be too crowded. I just want select people to come visit. Uh, Dunning Kruger, attitudes. A little behind in chat, trying to finish some art. Good. What kind of art are you doing? Are you drawing? I was going to bring up my drawing, my big old drawing tablet too, but then I was like, I think I just want to do some art and then play a game. Barbecue and run a game if you're ever in pain. That would be great. I would love. I still want to do that whole, a bunch of us who I actually trust, rent an Airbnb for like a week. Us, non-sexual nudity supporters, and literally just like hang out naked in the hot tub and stuff. The hard part would be fielding who gets to come, because perverts. But I think if we're just quiet and careful about who gets invited, so that we don't hurt feelings of people I don't know well and don't trust yet, and also so we don't have like a madhouse or whatever, that'd be fun. But when COVID is not such a huge problem, so in 20 years or so, after all the anti-vaxxers die out. What was me? Women don't like me is such a deep topic. Oh, I know. I wanted. Well, I was talking a little bit to Gutzerker about maybe having a video with him talking about kind of the not that he, I mean, I'll let him say it in his own words if he is or not, but like the perspective of a guy getting rejected versus a woman rejecting people. Now, obviously, as a woman, and with the very real danger that happens to a lot of women of rejecting, I think that that's the worst position to be, possibly have your life at risk for saying no to a guy. But that doesn't mean I don't feel for being lonely. I have been incredibly lonely for most of my life. Even, married, I still feel lonely because Matthew and I don't really have that much in common. He doesn't care about artwork. He doesn't care about live stream or content creation or anything like that. And so I'm still lonely to have a friend who does value that stuff to hang out with and collaborate with and make content with and stuff like that. So I get it. Loneliness really sucks, and it's really miserable, and you get into this cycle where it's really hard to be a person that other people are going to like if you don't like yourself. And if you're unhappy, some people are really good at pretending to be happy even though they're miserable, and then they commit suicide like Robin Williams. But a lot of us can't really do that. And I mean, even me, it's really a roll of the dice. Like last night, I just happened to be in a mood where, even though I was upset about Link, I was just like kind of in an ebullient mood, and I was just like, I'm gonna go make some friends. And other times I just don't want to talk to people or whatever. And of course that's a difficult thing if you're out in the public life a lot and you're going to like a lot of conventions and stuff, because you have to be always on. And I'm not, I don't think I'm suited to that. And that is something that I've talked about before that's kind of interesting with YouTubers. At least in the old days, we were just regular people. Now you have people that are coached from the beginning on how to be viral stars. And again, I love when a show or whatever makes fun of that, because I'm a jealous bitch. I don't want to be in a reality show where I'm like followed around in my daily life. That would be fucking weird. I do like making videos about, like, oh, we went to the zoo or something like that, because I think they're fun and it gives me, happy memories of my kids to watch or whatever. The debate about, kids can't consent to being on TV or whatever is something valid. And I mean, I think we're just going to have to keep, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole thing. Algorithms don't help. They tend to limit the content folks see, which makes it enter into a rabbit hole. Yep. If you die, you'd be my ghost. Housegeist. The puns. I'm too smart for the I'm too smart to fall for schemes fallacy. Mazarin, Banajai, and Blind Spot. Hidden biases of good people found surprisingly that conservatives tend to be not far away from their hidden biases as liberal people are. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is like the whole thing about the conservative Trump movement is saying the quiet part out loud and just being like, basically, all black people are thugs or whatever. Stuff that you're not supposed to say aloud. Now that they're like, oh, well, there's actually a lot of us. In fact, one of us became president. We can say whatever we want, and you snowflakes can just deal with it, even though they're the ones that are constantly getting offended at everything. I posted on Twitter. So I posted a thing to Instagram the other day where I posted a picture of my snake, and I was like, this A-hole, that's how I spelled it, still won't eat. And Instagram was like, are you sure you want to post this? It's similar to other ones that have been reported. And I was just like, yes. So I posted it, and then I posted a screenshot of the warning, and I posted that on Twitter, and was like, they're yelling at me for saying a-hole. So I made another post yesterday, the day before, Again, showing my snake and saying this jerk face. And again, Instagram was like, "Are you sure you want to say this?" It's like, really, you're threatening to censor my post for jerk face? And so then I commented on that on Twitter. I said, "I'm sure they're gonna ban Snowflake one of these days." And then fucking maggots, MAGA type people started liking that tweet. And I'm like, "No, you fucking." We're reappropriating Snowflake because you guys are the ones that crumble at the first sign of being called out on your bullshit. Waiting for celebrity to say they only took ivermectin for COVID and got better. Yeah. Well, Joe Rogan. Fucking meteoric rise. I still remember, like, the first time I ever heard of him. He said, I don't remember what the conversation was, but he said something and I was like, I don't agree with this or whatever. And then one of my followers was like, actually, he's pretty centrist and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, that was my first time I ever heard of Joe Rogan. And I was just like, oh, he's yet another famous piece of shit. Thanks to Joe, check it out. She literally wrote the book, The Start of the Hidden Bias Thing. That is general results. Make sure you post that into Discord too, so I can, hear it. Yeah, implicit bias. I've listened to some psychology podcasts about that too, which is really cool. It won't be a cut. Of course you'll make the cut for the Airbnb. I mean, people that a lot of them I've ended up blocking, but there's certain people that I interact with a lot, especially on Twitter, who for the most part have been nice, but I've definitely had kind of creepy undertones from them. And I mean, like the Sir Laughs-a-Lot guy, who I still have no memory of, but who, kept trying to pressure me into a 1v1 chat, and finally I was like, it's kind of creepy, no. And then he posted that whole epic, ugly bitch, we've been best friends, fine, I'll just wank off to your tits. By the way, I'm the nicest guy ever, like, just so quintessential by Felipe incel type stuff. And that's why I'm, like, nervous, especially about having someone that might turn out like that, to meet up in real life, because who knows how much of a psychopath they are. And I'd like to think that, those of you who are a good guy would help me or whatever, but I mean, there's also the possibility of stalking, and I don't know. It's just, it makes me nervous. Plus, even if nothing physically happens, I don't want to not have a good time while I'm there because there's someone there, or more than someone there, that I just noticed something outside. Sorry, that I don't feel comfortable around. I looked outside and there are all these contrails, and I was like, huh. It looked really weird for a second. I was like, is there a giant spider web in the window? All right. Specific form of dementia, and he didn't want to go down the road. Yeah, I know. Was it a podcast? I think it was a podcast I was listening to, and they were interviewing his widow, and they were talking about the different kind of thing. Oh no, it was a video. I think it was a video I was listening to. Anyway, they were talking about how he had these ongoing battles with substance abuse and everything like that, and it's scary. Mental health is scary if you don't get the right treatment. And you just have people telling you, like, why don't you just try not being sad, Again, homeless people, like, talking about with my interview with Stormcloud, expecting homeless people to just not be crazy because they don't have reliable access to food or housing. They don't have access to medical care. Of course they're going to self-medicate because it's the only thing that they can get access to. So fuck you for just being like, well, why don't they just try not being crazy? Anyway, fucking... Just be kind to everyone, unless they're an anti-vaxxer, in which case they're actually killing people, so fuck them. I can't understand that dementia being the only thing that really terrifies me. Yeah. Centrist is a red flag for me. Big yep. Centrist just means Republican light, generally. Not even necessarily light. Lewy body dementia. Art I'm working on as a model acquaintance is Lady D. Ooh! But what do you mean... you're working on? Are you talking about you're drawing with someone posing as a model? They're assholes, fuck them. Just be a white male upper middle class person instead of disadvantaged and homeless. Exactly. And of course, going back to Trumpers or whatever, where it's like, I don't want to pay for homeless people. It's like, you could just become homeless at the drop of a hat. That's what happens when you live in a country that doesn't support its citizens with basic, healthcare is right. Okay. Let's get started on the actual thing. Only 4:20. We've only been doing this for an hour since I started half an hour late. All right. So for some reason, the camera that I have looking down is like reflecting a little bit. I'm really sorry about that. Hopefully I can get a new one at some point. I'm gonna flip it if I can figure out how. This way? There we go. So hopefully it'll be oriented the right way. Found out people are lying about how wrong one is. I'm co-opting him for sexual fetish. What the fuck? I have never heard that, but I'm not surprised that there'd be pieces of shit that would do that. So anyway, yeah, you know, this is kind of a new setup. It is really bright. Can I make it less washed out? Here, let me see. Video input. Gain. Doo-doo-doo. I have hairy arms. Deal with it. Deal with it. Deal with it. Deal with it. It's a little bit better. It was a camera thing. Oh yeah, I didn't even realize it was doing that. Here. Let me do that. There we go. So I still remain frustrated with having the Discord over in here. It doesn't, I have to use the StreamKit overlay thing where it's basically just an HTML link, and they won't fucking let you change the dimensions at all. I'm just going to close that window. I don't think it really matters. Let's do this one. I still need to rebuild that outfit. Oh, I don't want that one. I want the one that has the links. Add media file. Is it this one? I thought I had a long one that had the links. I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna put this down here. That's just the same one twice. Whatever. I'll just doop and doop. Sorry, Discord peeps. I'm just gonna do that, and then I'll just have the. I don't even have the YouTube one on here. Again, I've had. Oh, Sari, would you follow me on Instagram if I followed you first from Anzig65? I've never heard of them. I follow people that I'm interested in, so. You can follow me and send me a message and I'll check out your account, and if I'm interested, I'll follow it. And if you're a porn bot, I'll block you. So, it's up to you. Okay. Camera thing does the number keys. For femme body hair is pretty and fine, and men who disagree can go fluff themselves. I curse as hard as usual. I mean, let's not be gendered. Even if it was coarse and hairy, like, who fucking cares? It's my body. Why do you give a shit? Okay. So, I'm hoping that I'll have enough space on here. I probably won't. That's the hard part. I'm going to have to do it section by section. And I do have my ironing machine behind me, so I could actually do that if I have to. So, the idea I had, by the way, is have one or two of you guys jump on the voice chat for Discord if you want, and we could, like, have a conversation while I do this, so I'm not, like, talking myself ragged and getting super distracted. So yeah, I don't know. If you guys want to, I am itchy. I had brought headphones up. Where did I put them? I got some new headphones because, as always, the search continues for headphones that are comfortable. I didn't bring up the extension for the headphones, but it's right there, so it should be okay. I have white poster board. I think it would make. Wouldn't it make the white more white? I have this. Or what the hell? Where did this come from? It's just randomly sitting in a pile. That's old. That's before Bunny came out as transgender. I have this. It's ugly, but I don't know if it'll help at all. And it's all messed up. Oh, it's so ugly. There we go. It's like bumpy right here. It's bugging me. Okay, so yeah, let's maybe give each person like 20 minutes or so. If there's another person waiting in line that wants to talk, just so everyone gets a chance. Just because if we have more than like 2 or 3 people, it gets really everyone's talking over each other and it gets that whole stereotypical Zoom thing where, you know, it's very noisy. I brought alcohol, by the way. Matthew bought a bunch of mead, and I'm not really huge on mead or whatever, but it's not terrible. I brought this one up. Winter Warmer Blood Orange Mead with spice and maple syrup. And then I had two Pound Cider House called Cosmic Current up here, which are pretty good also. I really just like cider. Cider and mixed drinks occasionally if Kate at the bar makes them. Okay, let's open these up. Ugh, alright. Why are my nipples hard? I don't know. I don't know why my nipples are hard. I'm not trying to be sexy, damn it. My nipples just do what they want to, okay? Oh, that was another funny thing with the girl that I talked to last night, is she was like talking about how she had always been sensitive about her breasts being small, and they were like getting bigger, because we were talking about my channel or whatever, and it was like she was saying that it was giving her sympathy for people getting shamed for not wearing bras or something like that. I don't remember that exact conversation, but it's just funny because it was like, you're fine, and she like randomly was like, I just want to say, I'm really sorry if this is offensive, but I really want to say you have really nice breasts. And I was like, it's okay, I'm used to hearing it, like, not in an egotistical way, but like, I don't know, I'm not like, oh my god. Plus, it is different when a girl says it, especially a girl that's not, you know, bisexual or gay or anything. It's just showing appreciation for each other. And I don't care about my breasts being whatever size they are. I know that society, as always, bases our female worth on how big our boobs are, etc. I'll drink mead a lot. Mead, I mean, when we were still in Renaissance Fair, which, by the way, I showed them a picture. My picture of my husband is still from when we first started dating, and he was wearing live steel. He was wearing steel for live steel fighting at the Renaissance Fair. And he's like so cute, and they were like, oh my god, like looking between the picture and him, you know, with his dad bod and everything now, and they're like, he was hot. Like, I know. You know, I love him. I also have mom bod or whatever, so I'm not gonna be like, But, you know, you get older, you have COVID, you get through all that. Oh, the other thing that was funny about the girl is that she's Mexican, and she was talking about growing up Mexican and like her parents being immigrants and expectations and everything like that. And I didn't get to it, but I was going to talk to her about how the one time I did have a best friend for several years in high school. She was half Mexican, but she didn't speak Spanish. She was really into anime. Like, she was just not, you know, fitting the stereotype, and she would get really frustrated that Spanish people would come up to her and just start speaking Spanish, and she was just like, so yeah. And then she moved to North Carolina with one of her many abusive boyfriends. Anyway, sad times. I miss her. My dad does not miss her because she was kind of a slob, and she would you know, she would just, I don't know. I don't want to shit talk her. I liked her. My dad did not like her. So honey bear. Oh, but yeah, so mead, back when we would hang out at Renaissance Fair, people would try to make their own. So I'm gonna put my headphones in, and then I'm gonna go over to the Discord room, voice room, and yeah, if you want to join, just go in there. Make sure you have your phone on, or your recording device on, and then please use earbuds if you can, just so we don't have a lot of feedback. Oh, this pair is nice, and the cord is fairly long, which is nice. The other pair I have, the cord is like that long. It's like, what the fuck? Why would you make the cord so short? I mean, it could be longer. Like, if my phone was in my pocket, this would not be long enough. But you could chat if you eat waffles. I want waffles! I had a dream about really wanting to go get waffles, and Matthew was like, no, we must go here instead. I was like, but I want waffles. I also dreamt I got COVID, which I dream off and on, so it's not rare, but it's always like... I do have a light. Actually, I can turn the light down a little bit. I have my light over here, and then it makes it super dark over here, so let's make that light again. It feels weird hearing myself talk when I put in earphones. It's funny how I used to be so much more... Oh yeah, you can even see the pegs right there, so... I used to be so much more like, whenever I watched myself in video, it was like, oh, it feels weird. And now I'm just like used to it. I'm such an egotistical bitch. Own it, right? Okay, why is it so bright? Erg. change the coloring a little bit. I don't know. It's a nice cam. So, in Trisha's stream, her camera looks really good, and I asked what it was, and she gave me the name, and I looked it up, and it's a DSLR. And I guess you can use some DSLRs as webcams, but you have to, like, convert the signal or whatever. And a lot of DSLRs, at least the older ones, like the one that I have that I used before I got the Sony Handcam, it only records like 15 minutes video at a time, and then it turns itself off, supposedly as an anti-overheating device. Homemade waffles! I made homemade waffles before. It's annoying because we only have the one waffle cooker or whatever, and so if I'm trying to make enough for the whole family, it's just like, oh my god. It takes me literally like over an hour and a half to make enough waffles for everyone, because it's 8 minutes per waffle, and my husband eats, like, I eat 2 or 3, my dad eats 2 or 3, the kids eat 1 or 2, and then Matthew eats like 5. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. What did I do with the scissors? I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright. I literally just had the scissors, and I don't know where I put them. Yeah. I'll go jump into voice chat in a second. I love you, baby. There they are. I still need to organize everything over here. It's sort of all discombobulated from when I was moving the furniture around, and I just threw it all. I want to get a 4 waffle maker. I mean, it would be gigantic. I don't know where I'd put it, but that would definitely make it a lot easier. And I like to make slightly smaller waffles, because the one waffle maker I have, it actually makes them in the shape of a Death Star. It's one of the presents that friends gave me where they were like, you're a nerd, you must like Star Wars. And it's like, I really don't care about Star Wars. But it's the only waffle maker I have, so I use it, and it's fine. It's just kind of funny, because it's like, people could come over like, oh, you must really like Star Wars. Like, I actually don't give a shit. Sits on the gas stove. Yeah, you could. We don't, well, I mean, we don't have a gas stove. We have an electric one. And actually, eventually I'd like to get a new one, because one of the burners doesn't, you can't change the gauge anymore. It either is all the way off or all the way on. And the other thing is it doesn't have a full-size oven. It has 2 small ovens where you can't fit anything like vaguely tall in it. So, all right. Canon just released a tool for using many of their cameras as webcams. Awesome. Again, you know, one of the many benefits of streaming and everything becoming so much more popular. Okay, so it's interesting. Right now, this camera is like is pretty good frame rate, but my one that I use over there is having a crappy frame rate. I'm running it all on my laptop, so you know, hopefully it doesn't overheat. Steppen in Washington says Washington gas lines are now banned. Yeah, I know a couple places are doing that. Let me go. And I have to see what camera it's using, or what voice it's using. Let's use that camera. Doopity.
Doopity.
Why is it coming out of... I don't know why it's coming out of that. Hello? Sorry, it's coming.
Hello.
Whoa, hold on, the sounds. What the heck?
Whoa.
What? Okay, so for some reason it's not recognizing the headphones. That's disappointing. Sorry, it's what device I did. I plugged in headphones. Oh, there we go. Now it worked. Alright, so you have a ton of background noise. I don't know. Not background noise, but it's like clipping in and out. Are you using headphones?
Yes, I've got headphones in.
Okay, interesting. It's much louder than my voice. Okay. Trying to think the best place to drop the volume. Default speakers. I mean, the stream only audio is already super low. I can just do it in Discord. Sorry, just changing. Okay, so I turned the output volume way down and turned it up for me a little bit. Okay, it is my ears. All right, go ahead and try talking. why. Oh my gosh, it's really quiet now. Whoa, that's way too loud. I'm trying to make it not so loud for everybody else. I don't know. I still need to get a sound. Oh, NASA's in here too. I need to get a sound panel or whatever and try to figure that out and then figure all that out separately. But I don't know. I'll just turn the output volume to like 60%. Hopefully it won't be so much louder. You're on a sound setting. All right. Well, hopefully that's a decent amount of audio for people. Because I can't really, I can't turn my mic up any louder and I can't really turn Discord down any quieter. So hi guys, what did you guys want to talk about? First time caller, long time listener. Sorry.
I was amazed at that half-wit who gave that long diatribe about, well, men get lonely too and women are too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
And he was actually like fairly mild compared to a lot of similar kind of complaints that I've heard. There's just a lot of selfishness where people have a hard time not seeing stuff through their perspective. And I do, and I'm already like dropping beads everywhere. Shit. Whatever. I'll get it later. You know, it does take work to see, you know, to recognize that you're being self-centered and fight against it. And for a lot of people, it's a lot easier to just pretend that you're not being self-centered. Well, I'm, you know, rationalize it or whatever. It's like rationalizing unreasonable anger because it's a lot easier than actually being like, okay, that was too much and I should have moderated myself. So have you ever had to fight against that kind of upbringing before? I mean, you know, before you were more mature, maybe? I don't know. I've never lived life as a teenage male, so, you know, I can't say what it's like.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that I have either.
Yeah. Now they're saying Discord's too quiet, so hold on, let me up Discord. Okay, how about now, guys? He said it was too loud, now you're saying it's too quiet.
Alright.
Yeah, it sounds fine to me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, when my nan died and I was 15, my mother fell apart, so it fell
Aww.
to me to hold the family together. So I think that's one of the reasons why I still do what would be considered more juvenile things these days, because I'm trying to catch up. I actually picked up a paintbrush for the first time in more than 18 months and started working on my Sisters of Battle for 40k.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the way, whoa, I hate when I can hear myself in the background, it's really weird. That might be NASA, actually. La 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 la. I don't know, I guess not. I was trying to see if your icon lit up when I did that, but I guess not. At least I find for me, when I start doing like art or video editing or whatever, I get really into it and I want to finish it. And that's what's so frustrating about having to stop and take care of the kids. And I get way too angry because I'm just like, I wanna finish doing the thing. And you know, I get up, I fix food for them or whatever, and then I sit back down and I'm just like. So I'm definitely jealous of people that can not have to do that.
Well, you say the kids, but my baby boy, my daft Dougie Dog, is telling me that he wants to go outside again. So
how dare
I'll
he?
be right back. I know, he's such a good boy.
Oh. I have to remind myself to be nicer to Gaia and not always yelling at her, even though she drives me crazy. I should go get a tray. I just realized really quick so these don't roll off. So I'm going to go step out real quick and go grab a tray. And I mean, I see that NASA and Zan are in the room too. So you guys talk a little bit, and then I'll be right back, and then you can tell me what you guys talked about. So, Burb. Might as well go potty too.
You want to go outside? Do you?
Hey, it's Ann. Can anybody hear me? Hmm. Did I still mute myself?
Yes, good boy. I don't even know. I don't.
You guys can fight if you want. It's okay. All right.
Dog's had his comfort break.
No one's talking. You guys are supposed to talk while I was gone.
I've just got back.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess Ness and Zan are not planning to chat then, because it says that they're in, but they have their things Mike's, whatever, I can't talk.
I don't know. I didn't.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, it's Dan.
Okay. So is
Fiddling with
it
my mic
still
levels.
quiet? Is Discord quiet, you're saying? Because this I can nudge up. Tell me if that's better.
Discord's working fine for me.
No, I mean
Discord is
the
on the
audio.
loud side of normal. Yeah, it's on the loud side of normal.
Okay.
So,
because Hemrich just said it's too quiet. Oh, okay. Let me nudge it back up a little bit. Of course, there's always the delay. Yeah, if you guys are in Discord, actually, I can change my. There we go. So there, it should be quieter for those of you in Discord, and then hopefully a good volume for those watching the stream.
Yeah.
Because the stream is using the Shure, the better mic, and then Discord is using my webcam mic. So, all right. Well, hopefully it's good.
Is it crackling for anybody else on Discord?
A little
is it just my
bit.
setup?
Okay. When Ray talks, there's like background clips of me, so I don't know what that is, but.
Oh, that was because I had the Twitch TV still running. So I've muted that now, so you shouldn't get that anymore.
Oh, it came with tweezers. Oh, that's cool. I mean, I like mine better, but... Alright, so I have not done one of these in a really long time. They make me think of like a spaceship or something. I don't know why. Yeah, when Gut came and got his tools out to look at the computer, it was like, oh, you're like a professional computer person or whatever, which I told him he should hire himself out, and he said that it's stressful to like price it and everything, and I totally get that because I feel the same way about graphic design. But, you know. By the way, it says BooBug7 first time chat from viewer. So, hi, welcome. I don't know if you have been around with any of the other stuff or if you just stumbled on in here, but hello. All right, let's have a let's get the conversation going, and I'm gonna try not to completely dominate the conversation. I'm gonna be doing this and listening and occasionally struggling to not dominate the conversation, like I said. What'd you guys do for New Year's? How about that? Anyone do anything interesting for New Year's? Obligatory. You met me. Oh, okay, cool. Was that last night or was that a different? Sorry, Boobug says I met you at Vault 31 one time. Oh my god, it's a local! Now I feel so much weirder because it's like, oh, they can watch the stream and then tell me in person that I was weird or something. Sorry.
No, I don't do Christmas or New Year.
Even
No,
pre-COVID?
no. Even pre-COVID, no, I haven't done Christmas for 25, 30 years.
Yeah. We yeah, my mom would bring us to my grandma and all my aunts and uncles and everything. And I say all my, but actually compared to a lot of families, it's pretty small. And I always felt really awkward because my cousins and I didn't have anything in common, and they're a little trailer trashy, and it was just, I was a pariah in most of my life, and I was also a pariah at family events, so that was a little stressful. But the family I care about, I already live with, so don't really. It'd be nice to have it's more, I'd rather visit my sister-in-law down in San Diego, which of course was the plan until COVID forced us all to redo that. Mostly so she could help watch the kids and I could get a break. What about you, Zan? Zan died.
I'm not much of a holiday person.
Yeah. I think most of us are. I mean, are not. We just kind of stick to ourselves. Oh, there's a purple there. Well, that's weird. Sorry, I just noticed I did it wrong.
If I'm around a bunch of friends and family that are into the holiday, then that's fine. It's fun, but just for me, I don't. It's another day.
Yeah.
I like the solstices and the equinoxes.
Yeah, they're whoa, that was loud. Back in San Diego, a lot of our friends had what do you call it? Orphans Thanksgiving feasts and stuff like that, where it was like theoretically people that don't have social, don't have family, don't have good relationships, or don't have access to their families would show up. A lot of us had those, and then also did this, and it was pretty fun. I mean, it was basically a party. It's funny because one of the guys, his daughter usually came, and his daughter was like 7 or 8 or whatever, and I'd usually end up hanging out with her and playing with her because she'd be ignored. And that's actually part of what made me fall for Matthew too, because he would always play with the kids too. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But of course, once I had a kid, all of a sudden we stopped getting invited to anything, and there were other implosions with the group. So
and people complain when that people sexualize women with baby shots, and talk about men holding a baby. Now that gets.
Oh my God, he's like a hero.
Like, oh, yeah.
Like a hero.
I used to get that a lot.
Double
days.
standard there.
Oh, the stickies thing. What did you? Were you the girl with black hair? Sorry, Boobug is saying that they met me at the Stickies thing. Stickies Pot Shop. They had a Sorry, I'm listening to you guys. I'm just like also what people are saying in chat. So at Vault 31, they're just starting to have like kind of sponsored events sometimes, and Sticky's Pot Shop founded I don't even Super Smash competition. And I mean, it was pretty casual. Most of the people that played worked for Stickies and weren't really super into it. I actually live streamed, or no, I didn't live stream. They live streamed while I was there, and I told people about it, but you couldn't really hear anything, so it wasn't too easy to participate. But it was really fun. And the third person I went against actually was kind of a semi-pro, and like I had already gotten out of the stride of being good at Smash, so I got annihilated. Plus, I don't do well. Blonde, okay. I have like I only really remember the girl with the really long red hair because that struck out so much. But it's okay. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad you're here. Hopefully, we can hang out again sometime. And if I ever do decide I want to try pot again, I have not had good results the last few times I did try. I was just like paranoid that, not really paranoid, but I just felt really awkward and like I was being annoying and having a hard time following conversation. We were actually talking about that, Philip and Matthew and I last night. So Taylor, that was it. Yeah, it's funny because when I first when Trump let's get political here, when Trump was first installed, and I joined this Indivisible thing that was down in South Waterfront Portland, where it's actually like a lot of middle-aged rich white people, but a lot of them hate Trump or whatever. There was another girl that like was sort of part of the organization, of this group named Taylor, and I had a huge fucking crush on her, and it was so awkward because I was like, I would try to talk to her about like planning out the meetings or whatever, and the whole time I'm just like, I want to be your friend, I want to be. So I get, again, I understand, guys. I understand how it's hard to be cool around people you're attracted to. So, just I don't know why that made me think of that. It's definitely not for everyone. All right, so you. Oh man, that echo every time I get loud. That's my fault for getting loud. Well, what's your New Year's resolutions? How about that? You got any newly decided upon things you want to get better at?
I don't do resolutions.
Have you no fun?
Yeah, I have a lot of fun because I don't do resolutions.
I
Yeah,
have.
I can't agree with that.
Yeah, like I have lists of stuff that I'm always constantly trying to do anyway, and it's sort of I take it as an opportunity to kind of revisit the list and, you know, add other stuff and maybe like reorder priorities a little bit. And kind of like remind myself of stuff that I was trying to do before. Plus, I just really enjoy making lists. I feel like it's more satisfying to have a list and to look at the list and to check stuff off as it's done and stuff like that. So I do like that aspect of it. There's this book on tape that I found a long time ago, and I listened to it, and I actually listened to it a couple times, and I don't know where the file is, but a lot of what I heard in it really stuck with me, and I think it was Get Things Done Fast or something like that. And he had really good advice, and one of it was like, you know, literally like the dopamine hits of, or not dopamine, oxytocin, one of the two, from writing something down, doing it, and then crossing it off. You literally are like, oh, I did the thing. Like, it actually, you know, it's a
Yeah,
it's a
but that's
reward
so
feedback.
fleeting.
Eh,
I've heard that so many times, and the what I found is if it's worth doing, I do it. I don't need to put it on a list. I don't need to have a resolution to do it. I just it's worth doing, so I do it. And that feels good. The checking off on a list lasts about 5 seconds, and then
I
I'm
know
done.
it's not supposed to be a long thing. I just figure, you know, it's like gamifying your life kind of thing where you. But I mean, you know, if you have the motivation to get stuff done that you're supposed to be getting done without it, then by all means, you know, you're lucky. Like, that's good. But for people like me, where I get really lazy and procrastinate and despondent and feel like, what's the point? It's like, it makes me energized. So Gutzerker watches a lot of other streamers, and we were talking about how one of the reasons I don't generally watch other streamers is because I'll watch them, and then as I'm watching them, I'm like, oh, I want to start streaming. Like, I want to go do a stream or make a video or whatever. And he said that that's actually pretty common with content creators, that they'll, you know, see other content creators, and it just gives them ideas for their own thing. So it makes me feel better that I'm not the only one. But
Yeah, I mean, I occasionally do to-do lists, and you're right, it is satisfying to mark them off. But for me, it's more really a reminder of things that I need to do because I forget stuff so easily.
yeah, that's the other thing too. And I mean, one of my resolutions is to be better about keeping up with my bullet journal, because I was writing in there like every day, and I don't like writing by hand very much because my hand gets cramped up. But you know, having it there, having it access, there is something about analog. Like, I'm never gonna go full hippie and be like, oh, I'll never, you know, or not aesthetic. What is the name? Erudite. What's the one for people that? No, Luddite. The ones that like refuse to use any kind of technology or whatever. I'm
Oh, yeah.
never gonna go that
No. That's misconstrued.
Oh, is it? What's the actual meaning?
Yeah, the Luddites were the ones who, the factory owners brought in machines that put them out of work, and their tactic was to smash the machines,
Oh,
not their
interesting.
goal. So that whole thing is all misconstrued, and as usual, you know, the winner gets to write the history.
Well, yes, but the Luddites were taking physical action against a new technology that put them out of work, you know.
Well, the owners
So,
bought the new brought in the new looms, so that
Yeah.
was a physical action also.
And that's, of course,
Yeah, I mean,
timely,
it's just
talking about machines replacing jobs now, too. So,
yeah.
finding the solution. I was listening to the video, and it was a pretty good discussion about, people love to just say, like, we'll just retrain them or something. And the guy was saying that it's kind of a losing strategy because even if they retrain them for a job, a lot of the jobs that they're training people for now are going to be obsolete in another 5 to 10 years. And so it's like they have to train for a whole new job. And I can understand that a little bit. I feel like, stuff very, very manual labor or whatever definitely should be replaced by machines, and people should be able to do jobs where they actually like make creative decisions, or I don't know, or have the machine, like they actually had like lawyers. This lawyer went head to head with this computer program reviewing all these old cases and was supposed to like look for a flaw in it or something like that, and the program found it like 3 hours before he did. And they're talking about like, oh, it means you're going to replace lawyers. It's like, no, use it as a tool, use it to help you find, it's like a grammar thing while you're writing and it points out the bad grammar, and then you still have to like fix it, and or if it's a weird sentence, try to reword the sentence or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, keeping in mind that,
Well, the problem is that for capitalists, the people are functionally equivalent to the machines, only the machines don't cost as much to run.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep. I mean, those videos go viral of, I decided I should probably separate the beads by color. That would be smart. Because there's like really subtle differences in color. The videos of like, not gardeners, but farmer, underpaid immigrant farmers or whatever, where they'll have this one skill that they're so good at, and you watch them do it and you're just like, holy cow, they don't look human because they're doing that same thing over and over, day after day after day. And I mean, Matthew, for a while, when he was working at the place that makes these giant muon detector things, that are basically like X-ray machines, but they don't actually cause radiation, they just use stuff that's already in the air. And he had to do this, like, something about he had to like wire these tubes, these pneumatic tubes that had to have this special gas inside, and it was very precise work, and he was basically soldering all day. And he would complain about how boring it was and how exacting it was. And I mean, yeah, it sounds really horrible, but I mean, he only had to do it for a few months. Can you imagine if that was your whole life? Like, that's what you did. And I mean, that's the kind of thing where I feel like, again, I've never been in the position working a job like that, and I can understand it can be a lot of stress and scary to think, like, having to learn a whole new skill. But if it means not having such a mind-numbingly boring job, wouldn't you want to do that? But I mean, again, a lot of the people that would be getting retrained are being fed lies about how they're going to be, how the government wants to come out and get them and take their jobs and everything like that. So they might feel like, I quit my coal mining job to get retrained, but then no one will hire me for the retraining, and I lost my coal mining job, so now I have no money. Which brings up the subject of UBI, which again is like a big thing that I think sounds good on paper, but I have no idea how you would effectively roll it out and not have it be abused by those who want to have more money. And I don't know logistically how it would happen.
Actually rich for a start.
Yeah, that'd be a nice start for sure.
I mean, I don't know if it happens in the States, but in my country, they're constantly declaring that they're going to close down tax loopholes.
Oh yeah.
And they never do.
Yeah.
They never do. And if they do, it's some sort of minor thing that affects very small businesses, but the rich just get richer, the poor get poorer.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's like, Facebook gets under all this trouble for enabling vaccine disinformation and stuff like that, and they'll do like a super token thing and be like, look at this thing we did. It's like, that doesn't even scratch the surface of the problem. Like, it's such a I do want to throw in, so Gutzerker was saying, I don't believe in resolutions either. They're unrealistic goals that only cause depression when you can't make them, and As people were talking about making New Year's resolution, I decided that my best response for not liking New Year's resolution is for people with depression and self-criticism. They should instead write a list of significant accomplishments throughout the year and review them at the end of the year. So that is a good idea. As far as writing down tasks and saying that they're unrealistic goals, that was another thing that book that I listened to that really stuck out with me, where it was like, instead of writing a giant goal, like write a novel, it's better to break it down into solid actionable items, which is something that I'm always like, when I was in marriage counseling with Matthew, I was like, don't talk in platitudes, like give me an actionable thing to try to do. So for instance, it could be like, write 15 page, well, that's a lot, but write 1,000 words a day or something like that. And again, like I was saying earlier, when I start doing something that I'm excited or I'm passionate about, I really want to keep doing it. So the hard part is getting myself to start doing it. But I find like that helps a lot more. And you try not to feel bad if you don't do it. Like, I have not been sticking with my do art every day thing very much, but when I do start, I generally get a pretty good picture out of it, and I'm like, look at this cool thing, And then as far as like writing down big accomplishments, that is good. Also writing stuff you're grateful for or you're thankful for, which sounds kind of hokey, but I think it is good because we do tend to focus on the negative and not really think about the stuff that we're grateful for. And I mean, you can write down stuff like my health and stuff like that, which it's good to be thankful for, but you can also think of specific things like, I made a good friend this year, or I got better at X, or I finished this task or whatever, and that also feels good. Sort of like the scratching off the list or whatever. But again, you don't have to write a list if you don't need to. Then it's fine. It's easy to fall in the trap of making unrealistic New Year resolution, quit my job and get a better one, lose 100 pounds, travel to another country, big things. That's why I keep talking about this book, but that was another thing, is that he would say you should have different lists. You should have like immediate, easy, quick tasks. You should have intermediate ones to do, like work on when you're done or you reach a good stopping point with the immediate ones, and then have a someday maybe list. And then the someday maybe list is basically just your dreams of stuff that would make, like, I would like to someday do this. And basically don't stress yourself out about the someday maybe list. It's just daydreaming. And so stuff like that, you could put it on your someday maybe list, where it's like, you look at it and occasionally you're like, I'm going to do that one day. But yeah, I mean, again, if you're prone to depression, I can see how that would be bad. So that's a wonderful thing about mental health care, is that everyone has different needs. And unfortunately, just try being happy. Why don't you just stop being sad is not good advice for anybody. So
No,
for some reason, I was just gonna say, for some reason, someone in YouTube wrote "strap-on" spelled backward is no parts, which is actually funny, which is true. But they put that a long time ago. I don't even know if they're actually watching. So I just wanted to say that. Those tweets, yeah, these are the tweets that I told you about, where I got a whole kit of them, and they're actually for putting on fake eyelashes, and I got them for when I had my molars out and I kept getting food stuck in them. They're really sharp though, but they've turned out to be really useful for a lot of art projects. So I have a question for you guys. Have you heard of I don't know if you call it a political thing or whatever, but praxis? Have you heard of that? Okay. It came,
Hi, Cleo.
Yes.
Praxis
Hi.
is old.
Yeah. Well, so basically where I heard of it is, I had a new follower on Twitter, and I always go to their account and see if they're a porn bot, so I know if I'm blocking them or whatever. And it was I guess hard left, except that they also, I don't know. Hard left, there's different shades of left. So, but anyway, they wrote, I did a praxis, and there was a picture of a Marxist book club or whatever, and then they wrote on it, no tankies. And I've like Googled, sorry, I did a web search for praxis, I did a web search for tankies, and it's hard to find an unbiased explanation of what they are. So, do you know what tankies are? Do you know what praxis is? And how would you describe them? Go.
It's been reappropriated then, because it used
Yeah.
to be like, it was like this movie, and it was either a character or a place, and Byzantine Rite. That's what I'm thinking of when I think
Oh.
of praxis. Is like old Greek something or other.
Okay.
So
The
it's
way-
obviously been taken over by
Yeah.
something else. I was going to say on the goal thing,
Oh.
when I animate, I want to animate like a 2-minute shot in an afternoon.
Yeah.
And I hear, it seems reasonable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and then you hear these animators who actually animate for films and games and stuff, and it takes 5 days to do 5 seconds of animation
That's what I always hear.
on one character or one thing that they're
Yeah.
animating. I mean, some things are different, but like a character animator takes 5 seconds or a week to do 5 seconds of animation. And I'm wanting to do, 2 or 3 minutes in like an hour and a half or two in my spare time. So,
Yeah.
it's like these, they're not goals, but they're like, okay, what's reasonable here? I don't know. Because you can do something basic in an hour and a half or two, and it
Yeah.
looks okay. But it's like everything else, the first 90% is done in the first 10%, and the last 10% takes 90% of the time. So
Oh, that's funny.
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing where having a like a Kanban board or they have all these boards out
Kanban
now,
board?
planning boards that are yeah, Kanban.
Never heard of
I
that.
may not be saying it right. It's a Japanese word, but it's been Americanized. Yeah. Oh, man, you should look up project management sometime. It's amazing
Well,
stuff.
I mean, that's what Bujo is supposed to be, which I was gonna say. NASA says I actually have a habit of keeping a clipboard with legal pads, and everywhere I go, I write a ton of lists. You should definitely look into the bullet journal thing because that's basically what it does. Is you write everything down in the bullet journal, and you have like a table of contents at the beginning, and then later on you break it down so that you're not like trying to guess ahead of time how much space you're going to need for this list or whatever. And then at the end of the month, you go back and you look, and my screensaver just came on. You go back and you catalog what happened in that month, and you like, if you need to transfer where that is, like transfer something to your schedule or whatever like that. So again, I was being good about it, and then I stopped. So, but anyway, yes, please continue.
Four by six index cards and Joplin. That's what I use.
I guess
I
if you
actually
have like
carry-
one spot to put stuff, yeah. But if you're like me, where you are constantly having to hide stuff from your kids, it's a little bit hard to keep track of that.
Well, that's why 4x6 index cards.
Mhm.
They're, stick them in your pocket. Oh, well, you have girl pockets though, so
Yeah,
I don't know
girl
if
pockets.
that works for you. But
Well, that's why I like the bullet journal because it fits nicely into my bag. But hi, NASA.
Yes. Hello, how are you? I keep asking that question. It's an etiquette thing. It's just hardwired into me. It's kind of like, have you ever gone to a restaurant and the waiter says, "Have a nice meal," and you say, "You too," and
I know. I
pretty
don't
much
mind as
that.
long as you don't like get mad if I don't give a long answer every time. It's just kind of
I-
like,
I don't really expect an answer. It's just like an etiquette thing that I
yeah.
can't stop myself. Anyway,
Well, you're
so
supposed
I
to do
actually
it.
have a
You're
habit.
supposed to do it in the grocery store line, and I'm always like actually telling them how I am, and it's like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. Sorry, go ahead.
I carry around a little satchel, and in it I always have a clipboard with a legal pad.
Mm.
I'm just writing lists constantly.
I like it.
I just really enjoy it.
I get oxytocin writing down lists. I love writing lists.
Me
I don't know
too.
why. And
I
making
feel
Excel
calmer
sheets. Yeah.
because I feel like I'm juggling
Hmm.
all of my thoughts, and once I've written them down, it's like I can put the balls down.
That is actually exactly. I keep talking about that book lately, but it is actually another thing he says where it's like until you write it down, you always have this like part of your subconscious that's trying to keep it in your mind. And once you write it down, it kind of frees up those mental resources. So that's another, yeah, that's
Exactly.
actually, again, like you feel like you're not struggling to remember it. It's like you go to a grocery store and it's like, yeah, you could be like, chanting yourself, cheese, milk, blah, blah, or you could just write it down and look at the list there.
So, as far as I understand it, praxis is the process of turning theory into action.
Hmm.
So, like you and I even had like a political conversation for a while on Discord,
Yeah.
just out of nowhere, and we discussed theory, you know?
Yeah.
But it's one thing to discuss, say, a business plan. It's another one to start actually setting up the business, renting the space. It's one thing to say, talk about how one could feed the homeless. It's another to go to the park
Yep.
and start feeding them.
Well, that's
It's
the
one
whole
thing
thing
to
about Twitter
Mhm.
activism, where it's like commenting on a post is not doing activism. I mean, it's part of it, educating others, getting people to think about it or whatever. But like, that's why I definitely get like imposter syndrome calling myself an activist, because I'm not out there running for legislation to not be, topless not be illegal. So, but yeah,
absolutely think you're an activist, and like part of it is that it's hard for one person
yeah,
um to affect that much change, but you are growing. You're trying to grow a community who can, as a group, affect change.
yeah, that's the goal.
And yeah, so that's. I was watching a video and someone said the other word for practice is doing things,
Yeah,
which I just thought was hilarious.
yeah, that's from the little search I did on Praxis. Like basically, I mean, it was kind of highfalutin language, so it was a little hard to follow. But yeah, that's sort of what it sounded like. Is basically like, or what's that? Was it John Lewis who said "make good trouble"? I think that was
Mm,
kind of the impression that I got, where it was like, don't just talk about how, as you're saying, machines replacing jobs is horrible. Do some, and I mean,
actually,
arguably, you could say that, like Black Lives Matter. Not that a lot of them did cause damage or whatever, but standing on the street saying "stop murdering black people" only does so much. You kind of, it's easy for people who especially are paid to ignore that kind of thing. It's easy for them to just tune you out. But then if you do, especially like taking the anger, the very valid anger of we're getting murdered and nobody gives a shit, um, and taking it out on destroying things, like I can understand. Again, it's property. It's not people. I would never advocate, black people are getting murdered, so let's go murder white people. Like that's horrible. Obviously, like that would be a crime. But I don't know. I think that those who are like, oh, how dare they cause any property damage? It's because it forces them to like actually think about and have some actual consequence with ignoring
yeah,
the protests instead of just being like, oh, I don't care.
I think we all just withheld our labor for a little while, right?
Yeah, but then who's gonna pay for rent? Who's gonna pay for food? That's the thing. If you want
Mhm.
there to be a national strike, there's gonna have to be resources to keep people fed and housed while that strike is going on. And it's sort of like with COVID, the lockdowns or whatever, where it's like, oh, just close down, but we're not gonna, help you keep your business up. And I mean, that's what the PPE loans were supposed to do, but they didn't have enough infrastructure in place to stop fucking rich, big companies from just taking all the damn money.
Well, we had um, a couple of major strikes in Britain, and what happened to support the families there were firstly the trade unions that represented the workers um, managed to provide some funds. Then there were credit unions that were providing other funds. And then there were communities that were working on um, swapping food, finding surpluses, um, and sharing that as sort of early forms of food bank.
Hmm.
Um, and so that is a way that it can be done. But if you're talking about a general strike across the whole of the US, you're right, that would have to be planned very, very far in advance to make sure that people got what they needed, or to have it as a short strike that disrupted everything. So make the point that you could do it and do it for longer.
Yep. Sorry, I was trying to see if I have anything I can use to kind of keep the beads separate, but I don't have anything immediately close, so I'll just try not to. If I knock it with my elbow, it's gonna go.
You need one of those little watercolor palette things.
Yeah,
I
that would
use those
actually.
all the
Oh, I have
time for
that.
electronic parts.
I actually have that. That's a good idea because I have my paint stuff down here because
Have you,
I want to.
have you got an ice cube tray?
Yeah, but I mean, I have to go downstairs for that. This'll work for now. So what else should we talk about? What you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was watching a thing called Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ricci. He's on the Young Turks network, and he was in conversation with this right-wing woman, Inez something, and the subject was what had happened on January the 6th. And she almost refused to engage with that and just spent the whole time doing whataboutery with the BLM protest from last year and just regurgitating all the right-wing talking points about cities burning down and all the rest of it.
Of course.
And it was just insane, you know. And
They always jump to that.
in the end, it just got nowhere, and it was just frustrating for both sides because she would just talk over and talk over and talk over, and almost refused to let Dr. Rashad Ricci.
Well, it's like you watch those clips on talk shows, and so often it's just like the people will just start screaming over the host or whatever. Like that was what's so funny about the clip from Ari Melbler or whatever. I think he's MSNBC or whatever. But why it went viral is that he had some Republican on, I think Peter Navarro or something like that, and the guy actually described a coup. He just didn't call it as a coup, but because he's so used to not ever facing any kind of consequence, he just described a coup and was like, you know, Ari was like, "You just described a coup." He was like, "No, I didn't." It's like, you literally just did. But you know, that's the thing is, if you don't use the specific word, then is a coup if you don't call it a coup?
Is Jerry
You have to
Springer
log
still
off
a
the voice
thing?
call, by the way. I have to log off the voice call.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Is Jerry Springer still a thing? Because that was just such a. I mean, I've never watched it, but you know, you see clips of it, and you're like, who are these people? These are like real people.
Yeah, well, Peter Navarro is actually like an instrumental person in the Trump world, and like I had not actually seen what he looked like, but I was always hearing his name mentioned. And of course, what's infuriating is when, you know, the Redemption tour where they have someone that was like part of the Trump White House, and then all of a sudden they put a book where they're like, the people were crazy, and then they try to do, you know, all these TV spots where they're like, you know, I couldn't do any, I was, you know, they ignored me, so I couldn't possibly do anything. It's like, you could have spoken up instead of saving it all up for a fucking for-profit book like Stephanie Grisham's doing it. I still can't get over, I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any blowback, but, you know, fucking Sean Spicer went on Dancing with the Stars. Like, what the fuck? That's not an indictment of how pathetic our culture is, where, you know, there's that movie. I haven't actually seen the movie, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's got Steve Carell and what's her name? And basically the movie is they're each for a different political party, and they'll like fight on TV, but then they'll like hang out together afterward or whatever. And I want to see it because I mean, like, you know, again, it's like social commentary of how literally all these, not exactly related, but like Tucker Carlson or whatever, who came from the Swanson fortune, who was born rich, went to private school or whatever, but Trumpers are so stupid that they're like, he's one of us. Those elites, it's like, he went to an Ivy League school. Like, what? Why do you think that Tucker Carlson is on your side, but, you know, someone who legitimately works for policies that help your demographic
he says
is not?
What they want to hear.
Yep.
He says what they want to hear.
That's why it boils down to like racism and anti-abortion and stuff like that. They pretend it's about something else, but no, you know, critical race theory. Which again, if I do get a conversation with that Clarkeisha Kent, I want to ask her, like, you know, basically for people who don't know, like the people who just watch my content because either oh my god tits or because they're nudists who don't look into like progressive spaces like I do, introduce them to what is critical theory actually, and why is it bullshit as an argument. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that, you know, Tucker Carlson is clearly a man of the people because he occasionally wears a flannel shirt.
What was it? Early on, what the heck? Ivanka's husband. His name just jumped out of my
Jared.
head.
Is it Jared?
Jared. Is it? I know exactly. You know, the one whose
It's
father
not
got.
Donald, is it?
No.
Oh no, that's just rumor.
Is it Jared? I can't believe I forgot. Anyway, he went to like some frontlines thing or whatever, and he had a camo jacket on, but then he had like a fancy vest over it or something. It's so ridiculous. Or of course the horrifying picture of the Trump brothers, standing with their dead prize kills or whatever. Like, I'm so masculine. Or the really awkward pictures of Donald Jr. wearing the flannel, but he's like trying to pose on a fallen tree, and it's just like the most stiff, awkward pose ever.
What was the Nixon speech? It's famous. It was the
I am not a
his
cook.
wife had a respectable Republican cloth coat and not some fur coat or something. I forget what it was when he was running against Kennedy, JFK, and it's a famous speech, and it's just like, you know, I mean, he's very serious, you know, and this is Richard Nixon. I mean, he was vice president at the time, and you know, he's saying, you know, there's rumors about, you know, Republicans being rich and wealthy, blah blah blah, and my wife has a respectable Republican cloth coat and not some fur coat or something like it was. I mean, it's just look it up sometime.
Yeah, I mean,
it is hilarious.
Tales all the time because they still do that shit where they're like, oh, Pelosi wore this really, or you know, AOC wore this really expensive coat, and it's like Melania and Ivanka would regularly wear $1 million clothing made by children in sweatshops. Like, what the fuck? You don't give a shit. You're just using it as an excuse to attack.
It's like I'm just like you because my wife has one cloth coat that she wears for photo ops. I mean, you know.
I don't care, do you?
It's.
But American politicians, I mean, it is a very old tactic because it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, you get all these Ivy Leaguers, you get all these people with inherited wealth, and they go out there and they say, well, howdy, y'all. I'm a wanting you.
I know, that's what they said about George Bush. It was like, I want to vote for him because I feel like I can have a beer with him. Like, what the fuck? Why would you want to have a beer with the person who's supposed to lead your country? Like, you don't want them to be folksy. But again, you know, them coastal elites, they want to phase out us, you know, rural people. It's like, what does that even mean, phase you out? God forbid we give you access to medical care and give you an opportunity to not get black lung.
It's a variant of the white replacement theory, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
I'm sorry. It's critical race. We're teaching our children to hate the country, right? Isn't that the line?
I have to tell you this. You know, my country shot itself in the foot with Brexit. Yeah.
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 Racist one.
It became so xenophobic here that an awful lot of the Europeans who were living and working here went, oh, fuck this, I'm going home.
Yeah.
And so now we have massive amounts of job vacancies that cannot be filled by the British because there's 100,000 missing from the National Health Service. There's a couple of 100,000 missing from agriculture. So crops are rotting in the fields, and there's tens of thousands of vacancies for drivers and all this sort of thing. So it has been suggested that as part of a trade deal with India, we loosen the restrictions on travel to this country for people from India to come and work here. So we've successfully kicked out white Europeans and have to replace them with people of colour. And I can just imagine all these Brexiteers' heads just exploding at the idea that we will make our country more diverse as a result of falling out of the European Union.
So let's bring all the natives in from the countries that the British of the former British Empire, and bring them and do the opposite. Bring them back to Britain instead of import or export British society to the. I'm not making any sense now. I'm just going to mute myself.
I think I know what you mean, though. You know, it's one of those delightful paradoxes that makes me laugh a lot.
Laugh to keep from
Have you
crying.
heard of Nigel Farage?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah,
He
of course
pops
he
up a
came up
lot. He
with,
basically seems like sort of a not quite like Trump light, I guess. Is kind of what he comes off as.
yeah, he's just vile.
Yeah.
He
Is he also the one that's
tweeted-
always weighing in on like royal celebrity shit?
No, I don't think he bothers much with the royals. He doesn't
Okay.
because they're German like his wife. So
Yeah, there's another
he
one
doesn't-
that is always like weighing in and saying bullshit thing. The one I'm thinking of, I mean, I have heard of Nigel Farage, but the other one I'm thinking of is the one where there was a picture of Daniel Craig wearing, one of those baby holder things, and he was like, "He's not a man because he's carrying his baby."
Oh, Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan, yeah, he's the other one that
Yeah,
I hear about a lot.
yeah, he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing with Nigel Farage, he tweeted about Novak Djokovic not being allowed into Australia because he'd got the wrong paperwork and he wasn't
Yeah,
vaccinated.
fucking.
And his constant refrain during the Brexit thing was take back control of our borders. And now he's really upset because Australia is having control of its borders. And you
Yeah.
think, well,
It's all an it's all an excuse to, whatever they think they can further their goals by claiming. Well, I wanted to say, talking about like, all these jobs not having anyone or whatever, thing I hear a lot right now, especially from Trumpers or whatever, is like, why aren't these selfish, millennials not taking these jobs? Because the jobs are absolute exploitative shit. They're paying shit wages. They don't give any benefits. They're working people to death. And just, like, it's just such a stupid... Yeah, a lot of people quit with the stimulus, not because they were like, oh, I'm going to live off the stimulus, but because they had these horrible, horrible, horrible jobs, but they, didn't have enough rent or whatever to even look for something else. And now they finally
you start
have
at the bottom
opportunity.
running of the ladder.
Yeah.
I mean, how else do you get to the top?
Yeah, I mean, don't you know? As long as you just work hard, you too will become a Jeff Bezos, whatever.
It's a crap ladder.
Yep, trickle
Just
down
don't get on it.
economics. And
That's the whole point. Don't get on the ladder in the first place.
yeah.
I think the thing is, though, that you need to start at the bottom. But if your father can give you $1 million, dollars rather, to
A small loan of $1
start,
million.
The problem is it's an MC Escher ladder. It just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah.
But it's like the housing ladder they talk about. You start off with a one-room
I
apartment.
got a funny story
and then
when you finish
build
that.
up, and you do this and you do that. But I think I saw somewhere where the average price of a house is now something like 8 times the average income. So how are you going to get a mortgage?
You hear that from Trumpers a lot too. It's like, well, I paid my way through college working a summer job. It's like, yeah, fucking our wages have not increased since then, but student debt has gone out the roof. I was gonna say, so I'm always looking at trending topics on Twitter and looking at like political news or whatever, and a lot of times like New York Times, Washington Post, Vanity Fair, The Atlantic, stuff like that will show up. LA Times too, which is one I'd like to subscribe to, but they're all so fucking expensive. Bloomberg also shows up, and sometimes Bloomberg puts out good stuff. Other times they put out stuff that is very, kissing the foot of the rich thing. And they had one article that came out that was like, millennials can't buy homes because the boomers are buying them all up. And then like 2 days later, it was like, millennials are starting to buy houses. What does that mean for the economy? And it was like, Jesus Christ, you're always blaming millennials for everything. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Ah.
yeah, yeah.
And
They
that's
are
the
the kind of.
thing. People
I mean,
don't see the either they think, the political bent or whatever. They're like, "Oh, well the doctors are just trying to make money or whatever," but they don't see the political bent of, actual capitalism. Sorry.
Bloomberg's audience clearly isn't millennials.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Yep. What were you saying, Ray?
yeah, it's just that print media over here is awful. I mean, several of the newspapers are owned by Murdoch, which
Yeah,
doesn't
who
really,
fucking is everywhere.
and the rest of them are generally owned by non-domiciled billionaires
Yep.
who don't live here,
Yep.
who come here for limited periods of the year, so they don't pay any tax here
Yep.
because they're non-domicile status, and yet they tell the editors what stories to push.
Yep.
You know, I mean, there's a paper called the Daily Mail,
Oh God.
and
Yeah,
it
we
was
hear from them a lot.
so disgusting.
Yep.
One of our comedians said that the ideal headline for the Daily Mail would be "Migrants flood the country, bringing in a new variant of AIDS that lowers your house prices."
Jesus. Daily
You know,
Mail, from what I see pop up on trending tweets and stuff like that, sort of seems like a combination of Fox News and Gawker, where it's like right wing rhetoric, but also like yelling and stalking celebrities.
yeah, that about sums it up. Actually, that sums up most of our tabloids.
Yeah. I feel like maybe Fox News and stuff don't really talk about celebrities as much, except when, again, like you're talking about the tennis guy or whatever, whenever a celebrity actually does support one of their positions, it's like, oh, shut up and dribble, shut up and dribble. Oh, you agree with us? Yes, we're going to make you our, spokesperson for whatever. But, because so many celebrities are, not even so many, but just like most of the ones you hear from are talking about, like, I don't like Trump or whatever. So it's not as much in Fox's interest to bring attention to celebrities that have or might come out against them, because then they're just giving attention to people that are not furthering their narrative. So, but why would they need to do that when they have all stars like Kyle Rittenhouse? Oh
Yeah.
God, did I dream or might as well say it, that guy that we were talking to last night, I think he I don't know if Gut's still here. Oh yeah, he's still here. I vaguely remember him saying something about like Kyle Rittenhouse was used as a bogeyman for. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but something like Kyle Rittenhouse was used as a bogeyman to punish white male or something like that. I think he said that. I was kind of drunk last night. Like, I wasn't like obviously blackout or anything, but I was drunk enough that I was having a little bit of trouble jumping between conversations with different people. But if he said that, holy shit, I do not want to be his friend. Jesus Christ. Oh, the poor white males. God, Kyle, I mean, that Ahmaud, Arbery case finally just came to trial, and both the guys got life, and thank God. I mean, it doesn't bring the guy back from the dead, but I'm sure that judge saw the Kyle Rittenhouse, what came out with that, and was like, sick to his stomach about it, and was like, I'm not gonna add to that bullshit poor white men thing. I'm gonna throw the book at these guys
I
because
can't
they
believe that
fucking
hasn't
murdered.
been challenged.
They murdered a guy that was just out for a fucking jog. Oh, he was in a house that was getting built. So, like, it doesn't even matter what he was doing. There's nothing to steal. Even if he was stealing, he wasn't. But even if he was, that is not a fucking excuse for some random
Call
fucking
the cops.
hillbilly to shoot him. How can? Sorry.
Well, it's basically death squads, isn't it?
Vigilante
You
justice.
roam the neighbourhood, you see somebody, and you think, I'm just going to kill you.
Yeah. Well, the thing about
I had
vigilante.
to fire because I thought he might grab my gun.
Stand my ground.
Well, if you didn't have a fucking gun,
it's the no consequences culture.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, you know, the concept of vigilante justice gets sort of romanticized with, like, Batman and stuff. It's like, he's a vigilante. It's like, actually, yeah, Batman shouldn't be killing people either. Like, I don't really like superhero stuff where someone is a fucking murderer and they're like, I'm gonna put them in jail, where they're just gonna get out again anyway. But actual vigilante justice is just some random fucking guy, or girl, but mostly guy, deciding, you know, oh, I'm gonna decide that this guy, again, I think he's stealing something, so I'm gonna hunt him down and shoot him from my truck. Like,
I know,
there is no
Rittenhouse's
excuse
mom
for
drove
that.
him there.
Yeah, well, that's
It's
Kyle
sure
Rittenhouse.
it's
I was talking
women.
about the Ahmad,
There's
but
plenty of women
yeah.
doing this.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
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 I just mean
Yeah.
statistically it's a guy, but it doesn't matter. The point is still that, you know, we're giving
Guys
too
pull
much
the trigger.
wiggle.
Women egg them on, especially that kind of woman.
That's a good way of putting
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah,
Link.
it's disturbing. Very disturbing.
Okay, why are you coming up here?
Because I just wanted to say I really love you.
I really love you too. What are you not gonna do when you're at school? What are you gonna be nice? You gonna be nice?
Yeah.
You're not gonna try to be annoying to people
Yeah.
because it feels really bad when you make them cry and you don't want to do that? I don't want you up here, buddy, please. I'm so jealous. Trisha does her live stream and her kids stay off camera the whole time. Why are you, what? Why are you grunting? Why are you grunting? What's wrong?
I want on your lap.
I don't want you on my lap. I want you to go back downstairs. Link, please. Please go downstairs. I will get you some ice cream if you let me do my live stream.
Okay.
Okay, please. Okay, thank you. He's acting like he's sick. I don't understand.
No, it's that my legs are tired.
Legs are tired. Then go lay down or go sit down and lay on the couch. I love you. 4 hours a week. Anyway. Sometimes he turns my stream on downstairs, so that's all we're gonna say about that. Well, in a random departure, you know, Zan doesn't have kids. Ray, do you have kids?
Yes, my daughter, she's 38 now.
So she's my age. What is your advice on how to? I mean, I don't know if you've actually had to deal with this with your daughter, but what is your advice upon hearing, you know, that your son has been bullying? I mean, bullying. I don't know how much of it is just because I'm his mom and I don't want to like think the worst of him, but to me, bullying is kind of chasing someone down and harassing them every day. But there's different. Anyway, what would you try if you were told that your kid was bullying others in school?
No, I think what you're doing is the right thing. It's making him aware of the fact that certain behaviours are not acceptable and getting him to really look at the consequences of his actions. Now, again, he's only 5. He's going to test the boundaries. He's going to find out what's acceptable and what's not. And that's just something that we all do. So, you know, I think that the way you're handling it is perfectly fine. I don't think that there'd be any advice that I would give that would change what you're doing, because I think that it's going to work. I mean, he's a smart kid, but he is only 5, and so consequently,
he's got a learning curve.
He's got a learning curve, and you're the one who's there to set the boundaries for him. But you just have to accept that as he grows up, he is going to test those boundaries. But if you give him a good framework, then you know it's not going to be a problem long term, I would think.
I hope so. It's nerve-wracking because I can't control him. I love you too. Aw, they might be watching downstairs. I love you too. Sorry, they're downstairs yelling, "I love you, mommy." I love them. They frustrate the shit out of me, but I love them. Lost my train of thought. I really want them to be good people, and I mean, I am aware of the fact that they're, at least as far as I know, they're cis white boys, cis white men, and it's just so easy. I don't know how much the future will change. I don't know if it will change, but it's so easy to fall into the pitfalls of our society saying you're owed this, you're fine if you do this, you know, again, as we were just discussing, you know, like, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse was defending his town, it wasn't even his town or whatever, whereas, you know, based on the color of your skin or who you love or whatever, the cards are stacked against you and you do exactly the same thing, and all of a sudden you don't get the same excuse. You know, if a black person did exactly what Kyle Rittenhouse did, they'd be fucking on death row. Like, it's just so I am very determined to try to make him a good person, but you can't make someone be a good person. You can just try to, you know, show them that. And this thing is, I wonder about, you know, Kyle Rittenhouse or whatever. Like, I try to imagine what conversations, if any, they ever had at his you know, growing up. Like, did they straight out say, oh, black people are thugs, or did they have any kind of conversation about, like, we were talking a little bit about with Gut on the way home last night about that, and like comparing kind of our upbringings, because Matthew was saying that his dad was, you know, abusive and racist and everything, and Matthew had to fight against that, and he didn't really start to recognize and step away from that kind of mindset until he was a teenager. So Gut said he could a few more minutes and he can take NASA's spot, so maybe we could jump into that. I really love you guys. Like, I know that, you know, this is not conducive to being popular or whatever, but I love having these real conversations. It's sort of like, this is almost like the Young Turks, but but also with gaming. I don't know. Do the Young Turks do any gaming? That would be funny. Then I'd have no market at all.
Oh, hell yeah, the Young Turks, John Idarola and Brett, can't remember his surname. They did a Zoom gaming session, and one of the players was AOC.
Oh, was that the Among Us one?
I can't remember.
I saw a couple clips of it that like went
viral.
viral where she like didn't know what she was doing and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of cute, but it's more like the Colbert thing where he'll like play a game but he'll really suck at it, which I tried to watch a little bit of and I really didn't like it because he kept throwing out these like stereotypes about gamers or whatever. But I mean, like a regular streamer, like I don't know, because you know, I watched Amara Ravenfire once, who's one of Kenny's friends, streamers or whatever, and again, I'd like to watch more of her. It's just time in the day or whatever, and she was going off on Black Lives Matter stuff and saying like, I don't care if you're not going to watch because I'm talking about it. I'm going to talk about this. But I don't think she does that. Like, I don't think she talks about that kind of stuff every stream. And it's like, I always end up talking about that stuff every stream. I don't know. You left for an hour and there's no change in the shield. No, I'm sorting the beads because I was taking too long doing the other way. Jeez. He's like, I left for an hour and there's no change on the shield. I'm setting myself up for success, NASA. What about you, Zan? Do you have any advice or things I should avoid in trying to raise a non-psychopath?
I know that bullies tend to have been bullied or feel they've been bullied.
Hurt people.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's a learned behavior, apparently. Yeah. The other thing is, I wanted to, you know, my dad is not a racist person, but I remember when I was little, probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8, they were talking about Brazil nuts. Well, I won't say that one, but he was talking about somebody, maybe he was buying a car or something. He was buying something, and he said this guy was trying to, or somebody was trying, anyway, there was some transaction going on, and he said this guy was trying to Jew somebody else down. Ugh. And I'm thinking, I'm 7, and I'm thinking Jew, chew, talk, okay, maybe. Because the only Jew I knew about were in the Bible, and that was, Bible times. There aren't real Jews, you know.
Yeah.
When I was 7, you know, I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure this out. And it was much later I realized, oh, so that's a prejudicial saying, and it's just part of his vocabulary, and he doesn't even. It's not. I mean, he isn't prejudiced toward Jews,
Yeah.
you know.
It's just such an
I
accepted
mean, it's
piece of
just
racism.
it's an expression. Yeah,
Well, it's
and
like
you don't,
older
if you don't
people
think
saying,
about it,
yeah, it's like older people saying like
you know,
coloreds, and it's like whoa.
yeah,
But if they've never
yeah.
challenged it, they don't realize how bad it is to say. Yeah, like I get deeply I can't talk uncomfortable
Uncomfortable.
remembering how for a while, you know, I was in the 4chan crowd. I hung out with people like that, trying to be like cool, and it was because video gaming. I wasn't really finding progressive people that liked games to hang out with, so I was like, I guess I'll hang out with people that play games that happen to be pieces of shit. And like, yeah, like I had friends that would talk that way, like, oh, don't be such a Jew, and it was like, I was told that that was funny, so it was like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to find that funny. And now I think back in it, and I'm just like, oh my god. But again,
Well, I heard something about
go ahead.
just recently about the last year about something about gypsies I don't know. It involved gypsies
Okay.
and how that was anti-Semitic.
Oh,
and
well,
I
not
didn't even
anti-Semitic.
realize
You're supposed
gypsies.
You're supposed to say Romani.
No. This was something derogatory or a behavior associated with gypsies, and it was anti-Semitic, and I had no idea what I mean that like you say, the Romanian or whatever Eastern Central
Romani,
Eastern
sorry,
European
Romani is what
part.
you're supposed to say instead of gypsy. But yeah.
I have no idea. But anyway, it's somehow that I had no idea they were connected with Semitic people, which
Yeah.
is Arabs and Jews, you know, although it's associated with Jews. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was just like, what? How would you, somebody, it was a talk show host or a blogger or not a blogger, a podcaster. And they said something, and somebody wrote or commented on the video and said, I didn't know you were anti-Semitic, and she's like, what?
Yeah.
and it was like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I didn't look it up to see if somebody was being, because there's a lot of really overly sensitive people, but
yeah.
you just don't know about that. But it's just amazing how just stuff in our language
things are, and we didn't know. And again, I mean, I always have to say, I'm not trying to say that Tapas equality is, on the same level as anti-Semitism, being anti-Semitic. But again, if you don't question the sexism, the transphobia of it or whatever, it like just people don't think about it. Like, yeah, obviously female nipples are sexual, but it's like, why? So two things that we were talking about. One, Clarkeisha Kent, one of the articles she did, and I didn't get to read a lot of them, but I really want to read some more, was on idiots saying that Karen is the same as the N-word. And she had this paragraph. Let me look it up because it was really good. I think I posted it to the Discord. So let me go scroll up a little bit.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm trying to
I
find...
will comment
go ahead.
about the growing up and friends saying certain things, talking about other communities. Last night I was mentioning how when I was raised, we were generally fairly insular. We did not care about anything outside of our community, and we didn't talk about politics or anything. And as you guys are talking about the kind of locker room talk that you would have with friends, I didn't really have any of that because I didn't have many friends, and the friends that I did have when I was growing up were we didn't have in-depth conversations. It was like, go in the backwoods, make a little fort, play some video games, and that was pretty much it. So I never heard any derogatory sayings about any otherism for other cultures or races or anything. So basically, I guess you could say that I approached adulthood and exposure to other ideologies kind of as a blank slate.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You know, I mean, by contrast, when I was a kid, it was just perfectly normal to say the most horrendous racial slurs.
Yeah.
And
Still crying.
it was just conversation. People didn't think anything of it. But as I grew up, you know, it became clear that some of the stuff that my friends were saying were just beyond the pale. And so yeah, gradually my friendship group changed
Yeah.
to what would be described as more woke people, rather than those who would just casually say things that were very, very hostile towards people of colour. So,
I can throw in there, I fucking hate how often right wingers co opt words and make them into like something completely, you know, like wokeness. They basically they're saying anyone that shows any compassion for anyone besides themselves is like woke, and you know, oh, they're always trying to shut down our free speech or whatever, which of course it's not that you can't speak, it's that if you're gonna say horrible things, people are allowed to be pissed at you in return. And if you're, you know, advocating hate crimes or you're spreading um, vaccine disinformation or whatever, yeah, you shouldn't be able to post freely. Like, you can say it out on the street if you want to, and nobody's gonna arrest you for it. But or you know, Karen, again, going back to Karen, like Karen was, as the article by Clarkeisha, I keep wanting to say Clarissa, talks about, you know, Karen is basically a white woman who uses her privilege to enact violence on, you know, disadvantaged people, using her whiteness, using her like feminine fragility, her
People
illusion of
without her
feminine
privilege.
fragility and stuff. But now you got fucking Trumpers that are just like, you know, like that TikTok I did where I showed a little bit of this guy golfing in the middle of a playground, and it was like, why the fuck would you be hitting these hard balls in the middle of the playground? And I tag, you know, I did hashtag golf. I didn't even tag like any political stuff. Got a whole bunch of Trumpers who were like, shut up, Karen. He's just playing, you know, why do you give a shit? Don't be taking over people's lives. It's like, because he's gonna fucking hit people. He's gonna hit kids in the head with a golf ball. That's why I care. Or, you know, in the middle of the worst of the virus before we had the vaccine, and my fucking Trumper neighbors were having a giant party, full of crowded party, and I was like, what the heck are you doing? Well, do you care? They're just having fun. Why do you care? Because they're spreading disease. Anyway, maybe I'm a Karen in denial. I don't know.
You know, I got a little bit of different take on the woke thing though.
Okay.
And that's to me, the people who are I guess self-identifying as woke
Yeah.
are really, it's almost like an advertising term. It's marketing. You know, it's like, oh, woke is popular now, or
Yeah.
being aware of the things you describe, you know, people being awake about, you know, it's like, oh, there really is discrimination that I wasn't aware of before. I'm going to be all against that now.
Yeah.
And to me, there's a lot of disingenuine, you know, wokeness,
Yeah.
like, you know, like the corporate sponsorships,
performative wokeness.
you know, around LGBTQ Day. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're all LGBTQ friendly
Or
today.
we support
you know.
Women's Equality Day. That's why we ban women's bodies.
Yes, exactly. While
Yeah.
we discriminate against them on so many ways that, you know, it's anyway. I just wanted to interject that a little
Well,
bit.
I think that's right. I think it's
Yeah.
all smoke and mirrors from corporations.
but you
You
know
know,
that's
they
not what the
know
right
that-
wingers mean, though.
Right?
That's not what the right wingers mean when they say the woke crowd. They're not delineating
No,
specifically
no.
corporations.
Woke is now, I think it's the replacement term for politically correct.
Yeah.
Possibly because they can spell
Probably.
woke and not spell politically correct. Could be.
Oh, they still say the politically correct one too, but yeah, I think they think woke is more fun, or I don't know.
It's easier to put on a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Well, another thing about the word woke is that word has been
By the way, I
around
do
for
have
a
to say that I
while.
love that we're all white people talking about this. But anyway, continue.
Woke is for Gen Z. Woke is no longer a popular word. It's lost its interest. So, uh, conservatives using it.
Yeah,
The
it's
word
over. It's
woke is
over the shark.
basically a joke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's over the shark.
the word woke is basically a joke anymore. No one seriously actually uses it
Except
or
for
calls themselves it.
the like resistor crowd, which unfortunately, I mean, on its surface, I'm a resistor, except that it gets back into the like Twitter activism where it's like, oh, I put resist in my Twitter tag, therefore I'm standing up for, democracy or whatever. Sorry, I can see being like, I'm woke and proud of it. It's like, okay, but do you do anything besides tweet about it?
Mhm. But once again, like conservatives, they're late to the party in using a term and making fun of it.
Yeah.
So since the word is now a joke, they get to use it all the damn time because
Let's
they
go,
didn't really
Brandon.
yeah, they didn't understand how to properly use it in the correct context. So now it's just a catchphrase for, oh, sick burn. I totally got them. I owned them.
Yeah.
Haha.
Just like Snowflake, just like critical race theory, like. So the quote I wanted to read, I found it where I posted it from this Karen article, which I will post the link to in the chat also. Accidentally closed everything. Here's the link, and then, oops, wrong one. That Lennon Ono-san, which she was talking about, where it was literally like women is the N-word kind of thing. It's literally a name of a song that John Lennon and Yoko Ono did. So that Lennon, that Lennon Ono song. Remember, you don't have to be a white woman. Just subscribe to white feminist pedagogy, and ideology. Is the most extreme example. But now, quote, Karen is a slur, has logged on. Yeah. Joking way to put it, to become the latest example of white women not knowing how to read the room and most certainly having so much extra time on their hands in this age of social distancing that they must fabricate a crumb of oppression, which is crucial to maintaining the illusion that this is their collective fragility and maintaining the balance out that is their perpetual victimhood. And it is amazing to hear a fat acceptance person of color woman saying that, because I feel that way, and it's kind of nice to have it validated that there's I think this exhaustion with people who are legitimately oppressed in many ways, seeing these, I'm just going to say Tumblrinas, because I still feel like that's it's a pejorative, but it's basically my reference to, like she describes, these white people who are often like 14-year-old girls, except now it's like the adult versions of those people who are, rather than focusing on what's already, people getting killed by cops and stuff like that, now it's like, I must push the envelope and find even more microaggressions to focus all my attention on. And while it's all indicative of an overall, racism or whatever like that, it feels like it's almost distracting from what is actually going to help those very same oppressed people. It's shifting the focus to something that might be irritating but isn't like affecting their emotional well-being or their physical lives. And that's another thing that I really wanted to talk to her about if I do interview with her, which again, I don't know if she's replied yet about the budget thing, but we'll see, because I'd really like to make it happen, because I mean, she does this stuff professionally, and she writes articles and stuff, so she's going to have a very coherent way of putting it. Is I want to ask her, like, how can I be, and again, ally is like another word that's become almost a joke, but how can I be a good ally to people of color and stuff without doing exactly what she just described in this post of, kind of making myself part of the victimhood. So yeah, anyway, sorry, I just wanted to read that quote. So I linked to the whole article so people can go read it, and if you want to see other articles that she's written, it's at her clarkeshakent.com. I think it's .com, might be .org. So anyway, continuing on. So Gut, were you I had a question for you and I can't remember what it was. I don't know. Maybe we should bring it to a different subject because I feel like this is really heavy and I don't know. I feel like we kind of maybe hit a wall as far as how much we can really talk about it without bringing in some non-white perspectives. I don't know. Is NASA available again? Did you come back? Because I wanted to actually kind of, so NASA
He's in Discord.
Yeah, so NASA has all these partners and is very trans right and everything like that. Like we talked about it in the interview that I did with him, which was very unplanned. It was kind of like, let's just turn on a camera and talk about stuff. And I really appreciate it because talking about like the girl last night, how she was like, my brother's gay, and it was like, okay, now you need to reach the stage where you're just like comfortable being in a queer space without feeling like you have to constantly be like, I support you. You get to the Get Out version where it's like, I voted for Obama kind of stage.
No, I will say, without having heard hardly any of your guys' conversation on that, it is possible that she might be bringing it up so much because she just maybe doesn't have a whole lot of things to talk about other than talking about the same thing over and over.
I mean, she was drunk too, so I mean, we get stuck in a cyclical thing.
Yeah, that will have a big effect on a person's ability to keep conversation progressing forward without cyclical thoughts.
But anyway, so what I was bringing up is, I feel like she's kind of at one of the first stages of familiarizing and being comfortable in queer spaces. I think I'm kind of at the next one where I don't quite feel as much like I have to keep validating that I really do support and everything, but I still feel awkward. Like I still am hesitant about accidentally misgendering or, like we were talking about, saying something that I don't even realize is offensive. And, that's again, like I want to be educated on that stuff so I can avoid it. And even the stuff that I might feel like is kind of ridiculous, it doesn't. God, Link is still crying downstairs. I don't know. The kids are like, whatever. We got an hour left. I'm very distracted by the kids yelling. I don't want to place my, again, sorry for repeating myself, but I don't want to place my, this is silly, over their feelings of being hurt if I say this thing. Like, why does it matter if I say the thing? I'm not making myself feel better. I'm certainly not making them feel better. So I want to know what it is before I say it. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be just about like queer, queer terminology or polyamory or relationships or anything like that. It can just be straight up, literally any conversation you can have with someone. And that's something that I've always struggled with is, I'm a very blunt person. I think I'm better than some at, picking up sarcasm and stuff like that. But I do have the bluntness, the some of the difficulty interpreting if people are joking or not. Plus the self-esteem issues of feeling like I'm always being annoying and everyone hates me and it's just too nice to say it. So I have a real hard time accurately gauging people's conversation. And the more I think someone dislikes me, the more, for some reason, the more determined I am to try to make them like me. And I think it's kind of a weird rut to get stuck in. So I have sympathy with being at the stage where you're kind of faking it till you're making it, where it's like, I know that I should be accepting of this thing. I have reservations against it because of how I was raised, but I think that to make myself a better person, I should feel this way. So I do think that, even if it sounds hollow, saying like, I support this thing is an important step, because as long as you're saying so-and-so is ridiculous, so-and-so is wrong, so-and-so is, not a reasonable position to have, not a reasonable opinion to have, you're never gonna accept that thing. And so again, I'm always repeating myself, but that's why I'm always trying to get people to kind of apply critical thinking to, don't just change your viewpoint because this is what people are telling you you're supposed to think, because it's always going to be dependent on the way the wind blows, that day. It's going to depend on what circles you're in. It's going to depend on who you're talking to. What's okay in this circle is not going to be okay in this circle. And decide for yourself, like, does it make sense for this to be considered the right opinion? And also, who am I harming if I fight against that? Who am I helping? Who am I harming?
But people listen to what they want to hear.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with forming a cohesive, coherent, logical anything. This is what they want to hear, so that's what they listen to.
Yeah.
And those are the conversations they participate in. And if they want to rant against something, those are the conversations. I mean, it's actually, so many things in this world are absolutely backwards from what we're led to believe. It's incredible.
Yeah. Sorry, I was a little distracted typing something. I admit I don't want to watch like right-wing stuff. I don't want to make myself more receptive to those kind of viewpoints. I think that they are toxic. I might, I hesitate to even say I might sympathize with some of their positions. I think that a lot of their positions, especially the more ignorant ones, comes from a basis of lies and pretending that what they think is truth. It makes sense they would feel the way they would do. Like, for instance, people that are like immersed in Fox News culture where they're saying the vaccine is killing people. Of course they're not going to want to get the vaccine. And it's not going to change their mind being an asshole to them. It's just, I am so fucking tired of them being coddled and keeping the pandemic going that I don't want to be nice to them.
Did you hear there's an anti-vax community being built in Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a bunch of places.
See, now, that is somewhere where I could get behind building a wall.
Yeah.
Keep
Well, we
them all
joke
in the
about like
compound,
Florida and stuff like
do
that.
3 drops,
Yeah.
and then check on them after a year, see how many of them are still.
Like a wolfling run and creatures where you just hatch all the Norns and then leave them to their own devices. Now, see, making jokes about
We
doing
don't
that
need
with what?
we don't need a vaccine passport. We need an anti-vax passport.
But then they'll just lie because they want to get into the. Well, we have one. It's the MAGA hat. Anyway, we joke about like walling off a whole state, and honestly, like that would not be a solution because there's a lot of good, smart people trapped in those states because they don't have the resources to move out, or they have family, or they have a job.
This is the thing that I've been thinking about. What you do is you round up all the anti-vaxxers.
Oh, now they're really going to be like Nazi Germany. I mean, they already say that.
Yeah, but no. It's giving them their own land, essentially. Let them secede, let them have Florida, right? All the Floridians that aren't lunatics, they get to take over the properties and jobs of the people that have been relocated to Florida. Then you wall it off.
Oh, it involves aliens and a very specific teleportation process.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of these people, it is very like coastal elite to just be like, oh, fuck them or whatever, which, it's easy to do. It feels good to do. But the problem is the disinformation. The problem is, getting back to these tabloids and stuff that profit off of whatever gets clicks. That's why, the government can and definitely does fuck up a lot of stuff, but trusting corporations to do the right thing is always going to be the worst result. Or the worser, less good result. Because they're always going to do whatever makes them the most money, and whatever makes them the most money is generally always whatever causes the most activity, and what causes the most activity is the most inflamed rhetoric. So, we have to have regulation on what they're allowed to post. Huh?
Is that I think one of the things that should be done is that the fiduciary responsibility should be removed, because that legally obliges companies to maximize the returns for their shareholders.
What do you mean by fiduciary? What did you say? I missed what you said. What about fiduciary?
Oh, right. It's embedded in law that a company has to maximize profits in order to give the best returns they can for their shareholders.
Yeah.
Now, if that wasn't the law, then a company could
I mean, wouldn't a
actually
company do
behave.
that anyway because they want to make the most money?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are people that are just solely driven by profit.
Yeah. You could try the
But
carrot method
you
where you
could
get like
have,
government subsidies if you tell the truth, rather than say like you can't post lies, but if you post the truth, we'll give you a scholarship or something. But then the scholarship is never going to match the money you make from being Fox News. So I don't know how realistic that is either. But I mean, it doesn't have to be a zero sum, funding thing. Like even if they aren't making as much money as Fox, at least they are reaching more people if they have more funding to be on more airwaves, and that you're not gonna make headway with the people that are already 110% gung ho, racist, whatever. But there are people, again, if they're only hearing, it's the same thing with like incels or whatever. If they're only hearing the harmful, toxic, untrue rhetoric, that's what they're gonna think reality is. So you have to kind of give them an opportunity, and they still might reject it because it's easier than changing their viewpoint. But anyway, sorry.
yeah, but I mean, if you look at someone like Tucker Carlson,
Yeah.
it's quite clearly just a game to him.
Oh yeah.
He's not going to be affected by any of this.
Yep. Well, third-party voters. Third-party voters having their little temper tantrums, and it's like you're actually literally causing like immigrant children to be separated from their family and stuff by your little protest vote. Be outspoken, but don't enable fucking Trump. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is, though, I'm in a place where if I vote anything but Republican, my vote doesn't count. I mean, so why not vote for
Local
a third party?
elections.
Now,
Yeah,
that's normal.
that,
Now,
and
wait,
also
that's
local
normal
elections.
times.
Yeah.
That's normal times. When you've got an autocratic, bent, Christian right, political agenda-driven bunch of nutcases trying to take over the country, then, it's like, okay, vote for whoever has the closest shot at not getting those people elected.
Yeah.
But, I mean, where I live, I have, I mean, until the last, the last two elections, I have probably not voted for a Republican or a Democrat, just because.
Yeah. I'm in a similar situation.
Yeah.
This part of the city where I live is a safe Labour seat. It's never going to fall to anyone but.
Remind me,
Labour.
is Labour the progressive one or the Tory or what are the political parties in the UK, and what are they closest to American parties, I guess, or what are their ideals?
Well, Churchill said many years ago that the Republican Party was to the Conservative Party over here, and that the Democrats were close to the Conservative Party over here as well.
Yeah.
Largely because even then he recognised that they were corporate shills.
Yeah.
Yep. And Labour, unfortunately, is close to the Democrats. We now have a leader called Sir Keir Starmer, and if you're a sir, you're not really going to rock the boat very much.
Yeah.
And he's essentially a suit full of bugger all. He's making no impact whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's
well, that's what we say
enabling
about
Boris Johnson to do
that's
stuff.
what we say about establishment Dems. Is it's like vote for me because Republicans will make it worse. It's like, well, you're not doing shit, so Republicans are still making it worse. You're just like stalling, and then Republicans take over and they make stuff worse. You're not repairing any of the damage. You're not making anything better. So it's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound. But anyway,
to bring up a counterpoint, the not the alt-right Republicans, but the Republicans that are sane have points about the Democrats. They really have points. Now, I'm not saying their solutions are better, but they have reasons to not just be, oh, I'm in a love fest with the Democratic Party. Woohoo. I mean, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So I think the Democrats really need to look at why a quarter of the population hates
Jesus,
them
what is
enough
wrong with
to
me?
install a dictator
Mhm.
wannabe. I
Yeah.
mean, that's an idiot.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing is like I you know, and I do feel that way. Like I definitely, you know, especially like as the pandemic continues, I think the CDC is fucking up with their waffling around. I think that they're still pandering to the anti-vaxxers too much. I think that they're even people that aren't necessarily anti-vax, they're confusing them. They're making things too complicated. They're giving because it's not, you know, you have to look at the fact that they're not hearing from a vacuum. They're hearing what the CDC says and they're hearing what their news or Facebook memes or whatever say. So if you have something vague, it leaves an empty field for, you know, bad faith actors to capitalize on that ambiguity and be like, well, actually, this is what I mean. Or, you know, like even like Trump says something horrible and they're like, oh, he was joking. What he actually meant was X, you know? Of course, even when they flat out say something bad, they'll still be like, oh, they were joking. But
But all trust in government has been lost for decades
yeah.
because the government is not trustworthy.
Yep.
I mean, Snowden proved that, and their treatment of Snowden and quote unquote free press
Yep.
and quote unquote Assange, and I mean, you know, with free press, oh yeah, as long as it doesn't affect us, we
Yeah.
love free press.
Yep.
You know, and we'll criticize people for not having free press when it hurts them, but you know, until it hurts us, we're all for free press, and then when it doesn't, we're going to call it sedition, or we're going to call it spying, or we're going to call it whatever we want. But that's not free press, you know, reporting it and making it public that we're
Yeah.
doing something illegal is, you know, I mean, give me a break. So yeah, I'm just, you know, I'll tell you what, I have a lot of feeling for the people who do not trust government at all.
Well, that's
because
what
I'm one of them.
Yeah, I mean that's.
But
you
I
know,
don't want to install a freaking autocrat
Yeah.
either.
Well, that's. I mean, that's. I honestly, I feel like I'm pretty much exactly on the same page as you. I don't think that the government. I don't think that the government is inclined to pick the best options for people, left to its own devices. And I do think, you know, it's obviously until we take money out of politics, which is never going to happen because the money is what controls the politics. But you know, you make small token advances where you get enough grassroots people pointing out, you know, and especially with the popularity of social media and with cell phone cameras and stuff, you can really break down. You know, for instance, when Pelosi said, like, basically defended lawmakers having stock options and stuff, and it was like, fuck you. Like she said the quiet part aloud, where it was like, yeah, Pelosi's not Trump, but she's still definitely from a position where they don't want to give up their money. They like their money, and they won't necessarily make as bad of a decision as Republicans,
But that's all politicians. That's not just.
yeah.
The thing of it is, here's what killed the Democrats as a party, is Johnson's New Deal, because he said, and this is what pissed off people of color. We can take care of you. We know how to take care of you. We can do all of this stuff for you. You don't have to do a thing. We'll just give it to you and install it to you. This is what you need.
We'll decide what's good for you.
And then, yes, you have no agency at all. This is what you get.
Like children.
That pissed that whole community off, understandably.
Yeah.
Then, not only did it not work, it failed so bad that they couldn't wait to demolish the whole thing and get rid of it. So A, that's what happened. B, people don't remember that what was his name? Brenneman Supreme Court? The guy that did the busing. You were complaining about Link having to go to a school like 12 miles away or whatever it was. That was because of, you know, we complain about the conservative Republican court. This is literally, it has taken this long for the Republicans to get an equivalent leaning court on their side. Now, they're both wrong.
Yeah.
You know, that's my take on it. They're both wrong. The Constitution says this, you can't do that. then you don't belong on the Supreme Court. I don't
Yeah.
give a freaking care about any of the other stuff.
I admit
Anyway,
I don't. God, Link is so distracting. He just won't stop crying. Sorry. Blah. I was gonna say, like, both the Supreme Court and the Constitution, like, first of all, I think it's insane that people ever thought, like, oh, the Supreme Court is nonpartisan. Like, what the fuck? People are always partisan. That's such a stupid viewpoint. Of course they're partisan. And as far as the Constitution goes, you know, I do have to say, like, it was written by people that owned slaves, and even if it was like, oh, they need it economically or whatever, they were still justifying their economic need over literally enslaving and working people to do, and you know, and we have the amendments and stuff like that, and the times change, people change. We have, hopefully, you know, the whole, oh, history bends toward justice or whatever, which I don't know if I really believe that, but I'm a nihilist, so I think that having, you know, the Constitution was a good base, and certainly it's better than coming from total anarchy where every single person decides for themselves what's good or not. But I don't think that, you know, like the whole originalist thing was like, well, this is what the Constitution literally says, or this is what the Constitution meant. I don't think that that is a rational way to look at the world now. But again, you know, I don't know what the solution is.
Well, the thing about the Constitution and the founders is they said, we're not perfect, but if we can put this framework into place, this is how we can be better. And the problem is that from the probably day 2, people have worked, corrupt people have worked at corrupting the system.
Yep.
They set the system up to be self-correcting and you know, as best they could, but corrupt people are corrupt people, and they have managed to corrupt the system. And when the system's corrupt, everybody's screwed, and that's where we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's okay to be biased. Like, you know, it's impossible to be an unbiased person. Like a judge. A judge is going to have an opinion one way or another. A jury, news. It's not wrong to be biased.
Or it's unavoidable to be biased.
Yeah, but you have to check your bias. You cannot lie. So, you know, the news saying we're fair and balanced. We are split right down the middle.
That's another joke. Fucking
50-50.
Fox. We're fair and balanced. Yeah.
Yeah, like you have to be able to state the truth and isolate your own personal opinion from fact. So you could still have a judge, but if you're gonna have one judge say one thing, you have to have another judge that says, you know, to match that.
Yeah. Well, theoretically.
But yeah, the news is the biggest problem.
Yeah. Well, you know, theoretically, like that's supposed to be somewhat addressed, where the Supreme Court, when they make a judgment, they're not supposed to just say this is the judgment. They're supposed to have their whole long thing about why. And then people, you know, legal scholars or even just like regular people are supposed to be able to dissect that and see if it makes sense or not, or if it reveals, you know, bias to the point where they shouldn't, you know, they should recuse themselves or something like that. But again, like you said, yeah, literally, like the media, and it's so weird because like listening to us talk, God, I'm like thinking of fucking Joe Rogan or whatever. Like, there's parts of our conversation that we're having where we sound like right wingers because we're talking about like the media bent and stuff like that. But that's the thing is, I think that it's irrational, like you said, like everyone has bias and everything like that. I was gonna say earlier that talking about, you know, how do you quote unquote regulate free speech. I think again, this is like for posting on platforms and stuff. I don't think that we can ever really rationalize arresting someone for saying vaccines kill people. I think you can kick them off Twitter because it's a private entity and it sucks. And I mean, again, you're making Twitter the arbiter of what's allowed or not. I think what we could do if we ever did have more consequent or more solid consequences is you can't say black people are thugs. You can say, I think black people are thugs. And then, you know, if someone presses you, you have to say why. I think that one of the issues is letting people, especially people who haven't studied it, who don't, you know, are completely basing their opinion on anecdotal, what they heard from their sister's brother or whatever, letting them state something and then other people lacking the critical thinking, lacking the training to understand that just because this random Facebook meme says this thing, says that vaccines are killing people, doesn't make it true. And it's so frustrating because, I'm in that weird position where because of my content, I'm banned for things that I don't think I should be banned for. You guys don't think I should be banned for. And so it puts me in the same position as people saying, well, I shouldn't be banned for, what I said about Jews replacing us or something. And it's like, how do I say that I should have the freedom to post my female nipples without being like, but also to me it seems like a completely different thing, but I can't really think of how to put into words my argument.
Can I ask you about, where do you weigh in on appropriateness? Like, I wouldn't show up to a beach or a swimming pool in a tuxedo unless I were in a James Bond movie. I wouldn't show up at a formal dinner in bathing, in swimsuit.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be down in my shop without, at least safety glasses handy and probably some sort of,
well, that's not
respirator to keep wood chips out. That's safety gear.
Yeah.
But if I go to the store, I'm gonna wear store stuff. I'm gonna wear jeans and whatever. And if I go in a dress, a tuxedo to the store, I'm gonna expect to get looked at, or it's out of place. Maybe out of place is a better way than appropriate. Now, the question is, or not the question, but the thing is, why is out of place set in stone? I mean, I don't know that. I mean, for instance, the red carpet gowns are, half of them are freaking see-through.
Yeah.
I mean, they're formal gowns, and they may as well not be wearing anything.
Yeah.
So my question is, whatever that is, appropriateness or what the
reading the
little
room
phrase we just said. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, if you go to somebody's house and you say, "Oh, it's a little warm. I'm going to take my shirt and clothes off," and everybody's just kind of like, even if they're okay with nudity, it's just like, that's not the place to. It's not it's just. So what's your thought on that with platforms and things?
That's kind of why my focus is on topless equality instead of accepting nudism, because I think that making non-sexual nudity okay is important, and I'd like to get to a point like that. But literally, the foundation of what I'm trying to do is having the same rights, not dependent on what gender you look like. So you're talking about, like, going, like, for instance, if a guy is able to go topless at the beach without anyone batting an eye, I would like to be able to go topless at the beach without batting an eye. If a guy was over, a friend was over at a house, unless we had like an established rapport where we all know we're fine with it and we don't care, if he took his shirt off, I'd be like, why? What the fuck are you doing? Like, I would rather like them ask first and be like, is it okay? Are you going to be uncomfortable if I take my shirt off? And then I'll be like, no, it's fine. And then it's, talking about public spaces. That is an interesting discussion because, for instance, okay, so like Matthew has his mask that he was wearing at Vault 31 last night that he got from Vault 31 that says "fuck COVID," and wearing it like he got it from the bar. Like, obviously I don't give a, I say fuck too. Like, I don't give a fuck, but like he wore it to a dog park a while ago, and I was deeply uncomfortable because it is a bad word, and if someone comes into my stream and is upset that I'm saying fuck and leaves, okay,
well, it's
whatever.
vulgar, yeah.
But in a place where people, there's going to be a lot of people that are uncomfortable, and it sounds hypocritical because a lot of people are going to be uncomfortable with a topless woman, but that's why I'm trying to fight is why. I'll be honest. At the dog park, if a guy is walking around without a shirt, I'm uncomfortable too. Like, it's like, why are you doing that? And like, people like to joke, it's like, oh, he's showing himself off, he likes his body or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that might be the reason. And again, if it's a place like a beach or whatever, if they want to go topless and show off, sure, whatever, I don't give a shit. So I think it's a matter, like I said, it's a matter of giving everyone the same rights regardless of what gender they look like, because I feel like it's way past fucking time for that. But I do agree, you know, again, even if a guy were to go topless in the grocery store, I'd kind of be like, why? Like it wouldn't harm me. I wouldn't be like, oh my god, and cover my children's nipples or nipples. What the fuck? I wouldn't cover my children's eyes because they can see female or male nipples. But I would be like, what is this person's motive in being topless? But you have something like a nudist, you know, resort or area or whatever where everyone's naked all the time, then it makes perfect sense for them to be naked in the grocery store because they're naked everywhere. And so I
Well,
wouldn't be questioning their motives. So
well, you know what it comes down to?
what?
Consent.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're in a public place where you don't know what kind of person you're going to be exposing yourself to, you know, something like a fuck COVID mask, you don't know whether or not they are okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to a beach that says clothing optional, you know what you're getting into if you're going to that kind of beach. And if you didn't know, then you weren't paying enough attention.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
like,
You know, when
you know, it's
when-
not just my husband. It's like anyone wears a shirt with like, you know, swearers on it, or like violence or guns. Like, I don't want to see people wearing shirts with guns on them either. Like,
But I think, but why isn't what you're doing trying to shift that that point of consent? I mean, I may not consent to people of color buying the house across the street from me. Is that an appropriate consent level? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Or I may insist that the people across the street be of color because everybody else is not.
yeah.
And let's get some variety in here. I mean, what you know what I'm saying? It's like where we need to shift. This
Yeah.
is why I support you so much, is
Aw.
because you're trying to shift what this consent is
Mhm.
and what is, for lack of for I don't like it, but appropriate for what is
Yeah.
appropriate where. And it's like you said, if it's legal for a guy to be on camera ranting about politics without a shirt on, and nobody cares. See,
Or
that's
they
the other
might
thing
care,
is
but
social
it's not a
acceptability.
bannable offense.
Well, no, yeah, well, not only that, but they're not going to get kicked off the platform. It's
Yeah.
socially acceptable. It may not be socially desirable, but it's acceptable.
Mhm.
But it's not for you, even if it is legal.
Yeah.
So,
I
anyway.
mean, yeah. I mean, I guess it's weird. It's ephemeral. I mean, you could shift the definition of consent too. I think one of the things that really bothers me about topless inequality is it's shifting the consent from a man gets to say, you know, I guess it's hard to phrase, but basically like it's shifting the consent to the onlookers with a woman. Like it's like a man can be like, I don't have your consent to go topless, but I have the right, so I'm gonna do it, and I don't fucking care if you're offended by it. But a woman, she can't say that. She can't say, I don't care that you're offended by it, I'm gonna go topless. It's because other people, men, are offended by it, or they find it like, oh, I don't want to be having sexual thoughts at the beach, as if they're not having sexual thoughts about, you know, girls wearing bikinis. Women aren't given the same choice that men are. They're told, I didn't give you consent to be topless, so you can't. Versus men, I didn't give you consent to be topless, but I can't stop you. I don't know. That's the difference to me.
No, I think you're right. I think there's a huge gap between what's considered socially acceptable and what's not. And an awful lot of it does come down to the simple fact that we have a strongly male-oriented patriarchal society, and denying women this equality is simply an expression of the social control of women by a group that feel threatened by women
And who are
achieving
accustomed-
any sort of
Who are
equality.
accustomed to being the arbiters of what's appropriate or not.
Yeah.
I wonder. It would be so cool. I don't think it would ever happen, but it would be so cool if I was able to like actually either interview or go on the Young Turks at some point and like talk to them about this kind of very thing. I remember I used to watch a lot of Young Turks when I worked at the office and I was doing really boring work, so I would be working on one monitor and having like YouTube videos playing in the other one. There was one, I don't remember it that much, but I got really annoyed where it was this it was this whole thing about like, oh, I don't it was Sank, and I think Jason was saying it a little bit or whatever.
Jank.
Jank. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Anyway, Jank and Jason, and they were saying like, women shouldn't wear a lot of makeup, it makes them ugly. And I was just like, well, this is not a leftist thing to say. Like, it's just, I don't know. And it's sort of, it's like when I'll run into, again, leftists are not a monolith. Obviously, that's what that's our problem is we won't vote for someone that's not exactly matching our ideals, whereas righties will vote for anyone that has an R in front of their name. I'll get people or nudists, they'll show up in my content, and if they're nudists, they'll agree with me, supposedly for my topics of equality, although they always want to turn it into full body nudity, but then they'll complain about me talking about, like what we're talking about right now. Or I'll have left-leaning people come in and be like, yeah, I agree, tax the rich, blah, blah, blah. What? You're a slut who puts her tits online? Like, it's just, I don't know. Everyone has their different shades of what they approve or whatever, I guess. But it just seems to me antithetical to be calling yourself a progressive or whatever, but still want to maintain patriarchal, transphobic, sexist control of certain people. Like, why? How does that make sense? How can you be like, racial equality, blah, 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 but we should still keep telling that anyone that looks female is a sexual object? I don't know. To me, it's antithetical.
I think it's because it's too deeply ingrained in society, and it just has to be challenged every time.
Yeah.
It's going to be an uphill struggle, particularly in America, because of the puritanical background of your history.
Yeah.
We kicked the Puritans out. Sorry about that.
And then Australia got all the criminals, right?
Well, we used to send the criminals to America.
Yeah.
And then you buggers went and kicked us out, so we had to find somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
sorry about that.
just awfully sorry.
It's so weird in history how certain groups will get, this revisionist, like, oh, Puritans, they were standing up for what they believed in. Or I can't, I think it was actually with Philip, we were talking about, like, all these people, all these writers or whatever that were like, oh, we need to go back to the country's roots or whatever. It's like, if you mean Puritans would be against football. They would be against, I forgot what else it was, alcohol and stuff like that. Like, all this stuff that right-wingers love, like, they would be against that, so.
Yeah, Christmas, forget it. You wouldn't have Christmas under Puritanism.
Yeah, half the stuff that they're like, this is part of my American heritage, like, it's just such a silly argument to me. I don't know. I can't really ever, like, the whole idea of tradition and stuff is just bonkers to me. I can't imagine anything. I mean, I'm sure if I tried really hard, but I can't really imagine anything where my reasoning to keep the status quo would be because we've always done it that way. But again, I probably have things that I feel that way about, and I'm just not critically thinking about them. So I am making progress on this, by the way. I'm organizing the beats.
For clarification, when you said Philip, are you referring to me?
To Gutzerker.
Yeah. Just since people don't know.
Sorry.
Gutzerker,
it feels Philip. Weird calling you gut or Gutzerker.
Well, it is the internet, so.
It's just it's a reference to an anime character for people who don't know, but it's just a really weird name to people who don't know that.
Where it's bearded dragon, that's fine.
Yeah. Of course, you guys all have different names all the time. Well,
I mean, to be honest, a lot of the people that I know, they don't call me by my formal online alias. They call me Gutsy.
Gutsy, aw, that's kind of cute. That makes me think of Chrono Trigger, where it's like literally a stat was guts, or like you could spend guts points or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It's like a thing I see in Japanese sometimes. Japanese games, like used guts to whatever. And of course they mean like courage or, you know, whatever. But
Oh yeah, the Japanese translation. Yeah.
it's kind of confusing
like-
sometimes because Gutsy, I'm gonna try calling you that. Gutsy
Yeah.
and Zan have kind of similar voices. So when I'm looking down at the beads and I don't see who's talking, I'm like, who said that?
I mean, at the moment, I have a deeper voice because of all the shouting last night.
I know. Well, it was. I think they might have had the music a little louder than usual, to be honest. Because usually I can talk pretty easily without having to shout. But then again, we were also sitting across from the table from each other, so.
I was a little bit under the weather yesterday.
Aw.
Like the way back home, I was definitely having a bit harder time in the cold than the previous time I came to visit.
Well, hopefully,
So.
hopefully it's not COVID.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. What should we talk about for the last 20 minutes? Is there anything happier we should talk about? I don't know. Like, it's kind of funny. We don't really have that much in common, I feel like, except for talking about the four of us, I think our political, and of course, you know, politics is basically everything. So saying something's political doesn't mean, like, it can only be about American legislators or whatever. And I mean, support for topless equality or whatever. Like, I don't know. It feels weird. It also feels weird to, like, suddenly talk about, I don't know, like, video games or something. Because, like, I love video games. But it almost feels like I'm trivializing, you know, talking about racial equality and stuff by being like, anyway, let's go back to this thing that, you know, I love but doesn't actually matter.
We have an early evening TV show over here called The One Show, and they do a mixture of serious topics and light-hearted topics.
Interesting.
So I'm entirely used to switching from one to the other because it's culturally something that we do over here.
Yeah. Well, you also have that sort of
Well-
understated dark humor in some of your stuff that I love.
The news and how many mass shootings there were, and then they jumped to a commercial about Disneyland or something.
Yeah.
I mean, and Mickey Mouse.
But that
came up,
is, you
I
know,
mean,
that does kind of piss some people off. I feel like YouTube and streaming and stuff like that is kind of like that. Like a lot of time, you know, they'll call it a palate cleanser, where it's like, you know, oh,
Yeah.
I've been reading all this really sad stuff, so here's a picture of a kitten or something. And
Yeah.
even
Well, it's
stuff
the-
like that I struggle with because, again, I feel like it's my privilege being like, I care about racial equality, but I don't have to think about it 24/7 like people that are literally faced with danger have to.
Well, even in storytelling, they've known that for ages. Is you ramp up the tension,
Yeah.
and then you have relief. You have a comic relief. You have some sort of relief.
But
And
I
then,
know,
you
but
know,
we're
you
not
dive
talking
back
about
into it.
like a movie. We're talking about like real life consequences. So
Real-
it doesn't
life
feel...
imitates art, or art imitates life.
Yeah.
Something.
I think as far as keeping people's attention too, like it's weird because hateful stuff gets the most clicks, and it's easy to get stuck in this rut of like looking at, you know, stuff that causes an emotional response, an angry emotional response to you. But I don't know. It's like it's funny too because like recommended videos, like if you go to my YouTube, which I mean it's kind of hard to avoid YouTube in modern life, and I'll have like a bunch of you know, report stuff show up, and then I'll have like stuff about snake care, and then I'll have a funny let's player or something, and it just pops up, and I'm just like flipping through, or like, you know, a looper thing about 10 you know, funniest scene improv or something like that, and it's just like you're flipping through, and it's like your brain is like shifting suddenly.
Oh my
So-
God! Just use FreeTube. Crying out loud!
It
You
doesn't
people
work
are
on
nuts.
it doesn't work on the smart TV. I'd have to set it up to a computer. So
Well, oh, you don't have your.
Chromecast?
I don't watch. I don't have a TV. I have large monitors that are hooked up to Raspberry Pis.
my dad can barely handle turning the TV on point blank. If I were to try to set something up on the
No.
computer, I would have to be setting everything for him. Someday it'll happen, okay? Problem is that the things that are supposed to be making it easier, you know, like Alexa and stuff
Yeah,
like
they
that,
don't.
of course
That's for
they
sure.
have their own, you know, spying on you kind of things. Which again is another thing that, like, again, you know, yeah, they're not putting microchips in the vaccine. Why the fuck would they do that? But there's definitely forces at work spying on you because it's profitable.
They're everywhere else.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Well, you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing that really bothers me. is that they being the people, the data brokers,
Mm-hmm.
are deflecting all of this data gathering and say it's all about feeding us ads. And that's the obvious place where the money is.
Mm-hmm.
But so much of this data is being used to train machine language models now.
Mm-hmm.
So much of this data is being used for things we don't even know about and can't know about
Mm-hmm.
until here's what I started
Right.
realizing about 5 or 10 years ago, when, what was it? The first thing I noticed, one of the first things I noticed was Google said, okay, we're no longer going to scan your emails so we can feed you ads. Now that told me right there that they had trained their algorithm enough that they didn't need to scan the email anymore, because for ads, for
Yeah.
ad purposes, because every email gets scanned for viruses and all kinds of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
That's just, you got to do that for spam, nothing
Yeah.
else. But then there was another thing where they said, oh, I know what it was. The first thing was they said they were going to stop scanning every photo uploaded to, the free Google Drive or
God,
whatever,
yeah,
or Amazon.
facial recognition.
It was one
that's
of
a whole
those.
thing.
They said, oh, we're not going to scan your pictures anymore. And I thought, okay, they don't need to. They
Yep.
stopped scanning because whatever they were really scanning those pictures for, because if you scan a picture, think about it. You got what somebody's wearing, you've got their background, you probably have their location unless they've turned all that off on their camera. You've got their friends, you've got, people in the area. Now, think about that. If you can pattern recognize the brand of their clothing, which you can do. You can recognize jewelry and the brands of jewelry, which you can do. I mean, it's Python libraries.
Yeah.
You identify their cars. You've got their entire life in probably 5 foot. And that's the other thing is if you have 12 pieces of information about somebody, you can completely de-anonymize anything about them. Any data set they show up in, however it's been redacted, if you have 12 pieces of information, you can completely de-anonymize and pinpoint a specific person in
Yeah.
any data set. That is scary.
Well, that.
It is. Well, there's nothing that can be done about it, is there?
Yeah. I was
Realistically.
gonna say, like, I kind of
Well,
don't even
you-
like. I don't like
you-
other
You
people.
pull out of.
I was gonna say I don't like when other people say, my last name or whatever, because it's kind of like, why are you doing that?
Mhm.
But I mean, anyone that wants to could easily find it. Like, they could find it. But I
Mhm.
don't think that you should be free to dox people, obviously. Like, because then you're having dumb, lazy, bad people. There's always going to be, smart bad people who do know how to do stuff like that. But there's only so many of them, and they have limited resources. But but they're, of course, those are the ones that are
That's
doxing people.
scripting.
Those are the ones that are doxing people.
Scripting
Yeah.
makes it real reasonable.
Well,
But the only thing you do is the only thing to do is to not be in the databases in a meaningful way and to seed fake data when
Yeah.
possible. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really the only thing you can do.
But I
And that's
can't
crazy.
be.
That's just
I can't be
crazy.
an online activist without being,
Right,
making
yeah.
myself available. So I don't know.
Well, and unfortunately, like all this talk about how corporations are able to analyze data, well, that's just corporations doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
with the whole
And then they sell it to governments.
Prism and the recording of every bit of data that goes over the internet for the government to just save for later. It's too much information for them to make anything useful of it, but they can figure out something to do with it later.
And look at all
And-
the stuff they haven't prevented.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Minority Report.
useful at all to stop anything. But
Yeah.
like we've seen that police and the government can request for
fucking China.
information.
Look at all the shit China's doing.
Well, like
that's
us, like
Yeah.
we can look at a person's GPS location based on cell tower triangulation,
Yeah.
so you can figure out who a person is without even having any information other
Yep.
than just their phone triangulation.
Why do you think people want your phone number so bad for everything? Anything.
Yeah.
Well,
But
and
and
it's
the other thing,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say to your point, Gutsy. I'm not going to say that again. To your point, the what the government can't collect legally, they just buy because there's no it's not illegal for a private company to get that information. So they just have a contract and they buy it.
Yep.
That's not illegal for some reason. I don't know why.
And in addition, if there's not information that they can get from a corporation, all you have to do is they are allowed to have contracts with other countries where internet traffic is redirected to another country over in, say, Europe or Russia or wherever, for example. They don't have the same laws for internet activity tracking, and then they just give it back to us, and they do the same thing for us.
It's almost like tax evasion.
Oh, there's been two or three huge cases of that disclosed fairly recent in the last year.
Yeah.
So it's like they will get the information no matter what. If they try hard enough, corporations, government, this government, that government, doesn't matter. If they want it, they can get it.
Yeah, of course they can.
I was going to say one thing that's interesting.
They have the money, they have the resources, they have the networking. They can do all of this. And it's like when you were saying about how they said, well, we are no longer going to scan this or check that and all the rest of it. And we're expected to sort of go, oh, thanks ever so much. As they're saying, are we not merciful? It's just,
Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to say the thing that's interesting about, them using it to find out about you or whatever. You have things where it's for good, like using it to find the insurrectionists and stuff. Helps when they're idiots that literally post about, oh, haha, I broke into the Capitol or whatever. But you could see that turned around to, again, if it was not as, I mean, it's already happening. Where there's slowly people are becoming aware of it and fighting against it. But like racial profiling and stuff, it's just like racial profiling times 1,000. You use this stuff to find whatever your prejudice is, find someone that you could punish. So, I don't know.
It's the old phrenology thing. They're trying to. What was the I can't think of the Tom Cruise movie. Where's he?
Oh, Minority Report.
That Minority Report. Yeah, I mean, that just only we're not good. We're not that good. I mean, you look at the people in charge of this stuff.
It was bad.
And they have trouble figuring out a zipper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or their email or whatever. Yeah, I know. Never blame malignants for what can be explained by incompetence, basically. So.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, look at the post office. This is the thing, but the thing the problem I have with progressives is they expect government to fix everything. But look at look at everything the government gets into and takes over, and it's a disaster.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make companies particularly better. It's people.
Well, government's supposed
the
to
wrong
be
thing doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, the government's supposed to be by the people for the people. It sucks at it.
Yes.
But companies are just straight up like,
it's
by the shareholders for the shareholders. Like.
Yeah, well, it's been corrupted. That's the thing. Government has been corrupted by many things.
Was it ever not corrupted though?
Well, probably the right before the last person signed the Declaration or the Constitution, it was probably okay, but right after that, I'm sure it.
So I really have to pee, and it is almost 7 o'clock, so I feel like this is a good time. I really appreciate you guys for this discourse. Is very, I mean, I feel like we are all kind of on the same side, but hopefully it was interesting also for, I don't know if anyone's even watching that isn't, well, I guess Emrich and Nas are like the only ones that are watching that aren't taking part, but it's nice to talk about this. It's nice to have conversations about this. I do hope, especially with like my videos, that I can find more people, especially who have lived like a person of color or like disabled people or whatever, and get their actual lived experience feedback too, because we're supposing what we can, but truth is that we're still basing our opinions on what we hear from others on stuff like living with the fear of being shot by cops and stuff like that. So I have to go pee. So I'm just going to say thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop the stream, and thanks to you guys. And
It's
yeah,
been a
see you
joy
next
and delight.
week, I guess.
Have a good weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bye.
Hopefully
Have
we
a
didn't
good
get
week,
COVID.
everyone.
Thanks for the stream.
Yeah, all right. Have a good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Night.